Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's edition of the Sunday Wire. I'm your host, Patrick Henningsen. We're streaming out live on the Alternate Current Radio Network, also at 21stCenturyWire.com. Also streaming out live on X, YouTube, Rumble, also on Facebook Live, and I believe BitChute as well. We're on all those live streams as well as the audio streams after the program. If you're subscribing to Spotify, iTunes, or any of those audio platforms, we're on all of them basically. So we'll be spraying the show out on MP3 format after the show as usual. And thank you. We had an interesting show planned today. I mean, we had a little bit of a technical problem with our guest. And one of the reasons why we have a technical problem is because the platform called X, run by Elon Musk, has been going haywire all week. People's DMs are disappearing. Their timelines are disappearing. My tweets are not visible to even my followers. They have to go and do searches to find them. They're not visible. The comments aren't visible in my tweets. I know I'm being shadow banned, obviously, and I'm watching the followers go in reverse, which was interesting this week because normally when you get to, you're supposed to get somewhat exponential growth after 150,000 followers, and normally your account grows. Mine is going backwards, which is interesting. And a lot of people are sending me messages complaining, Patrick, we don't see your content. What's going on? What's going on is there's throttling on X. So when Elon Musk's promise of a free speech platform is a blatant lie. They're basically throttling speech they don't like. So you have freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach. That's X, Twitter, okay? And especially content that is critical of Israel right now. And it's funny that big tech platforms like Meta have reverted to doing mass censorship in the last couple of weeks. For me, it's been for a few months, but really bad on Meta last week or so. And after this so-called shooting or whatever it was in Washington, D.C., we're still trying to work out the details of that very strange event. Israeli diplomats, the male was a Christian Zionist who was shot, but all the congressmen and senators said he was Jewish. So nobody seems to know what the actual facts are. The whole thing looks very shady, but it triggered a whole wave of censorship. The ADL, the Apartheid Defense League, the Anti-Defamation League, got that right. They're putting pressure on all the big tech platforms to censor across the board what's meant to be anti-Semitic speech, which is anything that criticizes the government of Israel that's currently in the dock at the International Courts of Justice for genocide. So if you criticize that genocide, the bombing and forced starvation of hundreds of thousands, millions of civilians, including many women and children who are being bombed in their refugee tents by F-35s, by Israel with U.S. bombs. If you criticize that, that's anti-Semitic, believe it or not. According to Meta and Elon Musk's X, run by their CEO, who is looks to be a Zionist or some kind of extreme partisan. So, and meanwhile, all the governments are pivoting, admitting it's a genocide. So isn't that funny? The moment governments are finally relenting and pivoting, changing the narrative, admitting that there's a genocide going on at the hands of Israel, the big tech platforms begin censoring people, calling out the brutality, calling out the atrocities. Doesn't make any sense, does it? But this is big tech world. In Oceania, on Airstrip 1, it doesn't make any sense. It's not meant to make any sense. It's not meant to make. Ask Winston Smith. It's not meant to make any sense. That's the world these people run. So it's for if you're a content creator, it's not a level playing field. On X, it's not. On YouTube, it's not. On Facebook and Instagram, it's not. In fact, if you say the wrong things at the wrong time, even if they're true, you'll be shadow banned at the least. Worse, you'll be outright censored. Your posts will get taken down. And like some other high-profile accounts this week, your whole account with 300,000 followers will be deleted. and that happened to an Irish comedian who had one of the best accounts on Instagram this week. I've got that up on my X feed. If you can find it at 21 Wire, if you can find my tweets, I try to keep people abreast. So this is interesting how this is shaping up. And again, we're supposed to have Alon Mizrahi, who is a fantastic guest. And a lot of our listeners are saying we're so happy that you're going to be interviewing Alon, who's got very unique insights on the situation in Israel and Palestine. One of the most unique commentators. He'll try to, hopefully, if we can, he probably lost the messages like so many other people the last few days. But hopefully, if we do get a chance to link up with him, he'll come in live hot on the stream. So we'll see if Alon makes it. If not, we will do our best to reschedule this interview because this is one that a lot of people requested. So, and it's definitely one worth listening to. I know it'll be a fantastic conversation. So we'll see if Alon drifts in through the matrix somehow. And so that's all happening. And this is why this is interesting. X is a train wreck from an app. So like we're wondering, and so this is of course I'm asking, who's coding? Who's doing the code on this website? Is Elon running an AI doing the coding? Is that why everything is malfunctioning? Is that why the app is a train wreck? Is it because of that? Or is Elon's son, his 5-year-old son, doing the coding? Has he put his kids in charge? Some of his kids running the operations department at X? I mean, what's going on? Do they have qualified people? Because no one's ever seen an app malfunction like this before. Not any of the major platforms. You'd think that there would be resources allocated to them to prevent this type of disaster, especially considering Elon decided to charge people obscene amounts of money to have, quote, premium accounts. And he's still throttling, censoring, disappearing, even people who pay, and getting besieged with bots. Another promise that was broken by Musk. The other thing Elon promised was there'd be transparency on the algorithm. That if people were being throttled and shadow banned, that they would be able to go and see and know why they're being. It's totally opaque, unfortunately. It's totally opaque. There is no transparency at all. Your stuff just disappears, and you can't find out why. Many different times tagged support, nothing. So here's my point. This guy is basically tweeted. I'll bring up one of these tweets. I don't know if I've got it or not, but he's doing a mission to Mars or interplanetary human species on Monday night on X. Elon's promoting this, and so he's saying he's going to build a Mars colony, kind of like Miami or Dubai in Mars, and that's going to happen, pretty quick, right? And he can't even run an app. So you trust Elon Musk's going to build Dubai in Mars by what? What did he promise? 2035 or something stupid? Is that really going to work? Who believes all this? We don't have any problems here on Earth, do we? Everyone's perfectly fine. We're all billionaires, right? Everybody is a billionaire. No problems here on Earth. No problems for some people. No problems for some people, but a whole host of problems for most people. And they're selling you this literal pie in the sky at this point. I mean, it's okay to have theoretical conversations and maybe plan for some type of expansion of the space program. But it almost seems like this is gaslighting at this point. So that's all I'm trying to say. So hold on one second. I think we have our guest. Yeah, I think we have our guest. Let me just ask him how long. And Alon Mizrahi managed to, X has finally refreshed its DMs We feel so privileged that we can pay to use this app that can't even do basic functions, and that's going on for like almost a week now. So it's pretty outrageous, pretty crazy. So anyway, hopefully we will be able to get Alon up on stage again. There's another story which we'll probably talk about in the Overdrive with Hesher, Ruckus, perhaps Basil Valentine, if he can make it. And that's about this obscene, crazy scene that took place at the White House with Donald Trump, who invited the South African president, Cyril Ramaphosa. And it was one of the most embarrassing things that we've ever seen. I can't imagine in my lifetime if I've seen anything this cringeworthy. We'll give you a little taste of this, but so he invites the South African president to come to the White House. And the thing that's really obscene about Trump, which I think is really kind of disgusting and disrespectful, is he'll invite people and have this whole gang of people there, all these sort of, wrong-ins, to intimidate the person that's visiting. No other state person does this. No other state. It's almost like, the king in his court. It's like Pol Pot in his court. Most strange thing ever. And so he brings in all of his gang to almost like an inquisition, with Trump basically there to embarrass the South African president. And right there in front of America and the world, blank accuses the South African president of carrying out white genocide in South Africa. And then turns down the lights and plays cherry-picked clips with no context attached to them at all. One of them was a scene. We've got this up on screen here. We've got a great analysis of this whole debacle right here. Hold on. So, just contacting our guest there. We've got a great analysis up at 21stcenturywire.com. And this whole debacle here, we just a full breakdown. And again, this is thanks to our team, especially Freddie Ponton, for putting some of this together. But all the details are here, completely debunking everything that was presented by Trump and his team. It's embarrassing, actually. Even the Afrikaans representative admitting there's no white genocide in South Africa. So Trump basically told one of the biggest lies that any U.S. president, I think, has done in public. Again, we've got it all broken down here, including all the numbers and the political background, the context of all the statements made by said persons and what it actually means. So all the things that you didn't get from Trump's basically ambush of Cyril Ramaphosa, we've got it. It's all there. And a lot of people have reached out to us saying this is the best breakdown of this subject that they've seen on the internet. Full stop, period. And again, I reported on it on the UK column as well. So I don't know where to start on this, but it's a total lie. We've demolished this. And so who's behind this? Behind this is clearly Elon Musk, okay? So Elon Musk wants revenge against the South African government, which he claims is racist. It's a post-apartheid government. This is the sort of front that Musk has. He's on a bit of a power trip at the moment. He's a post-apartheid government. Blacks have been under subjugation for 150 years. They've only had a country for 30 years. And Elon Musk's accusing them of being racist with no evidence. Okay. And so they lied about a couple of key aspects of it. And we'll bring this back up on screen here. What they lied about was, you see this picture in the background, all these white crosses and the cars lining up with all those white crosses along the side of the road there. You see those? That was a clip from a documentary done in 2020. Okay. And Trump is saying that those are mass graves of white farmers killed in South Africa. Now, I don't want to call the President of the United States an idiot, but he's really stretching it here, okay? Really stretching it. And we'll let Trump off the hook. We'll say his advisors are idiots. And whoever put this one together, I mean, who put this one together for Trump? Was it Dan Scavino? Was it Stephen Miller? Like, who was the genius that put this one together? Okay. This film, the clip they cherry picked out this film, they're not graves. Those are memorials to two farmers, husband and wife, that were killed in 2020. Okay. So they put out hundreds of crosses and they brought all the community together, black and white. Blacks and whites put that memorial up, and was designed to bring the community together. Black farmers, white farmers, workers, residents. So what Elon and Trump did was cynically take something that was a message of unity and turn it into a message of division, to stoke race hatred between blacks and whites. Donald Trump, his team, Marco Rubio, Elon Musk did exactly that. That is unforgivable. That is unforgivable. And they just did it. And we've obviously debunked it as well as many other people. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to have to show people the truth on this. And, you know, it's not as if we have advanced tools or anything. We have access to Google, search engines, and YouTube. That's all. So it really, it's such hard work, Donald. It took me, 5 minutes. 5 minutes to thoroughly demolish everything you showed when you tried to Shanghai the president of South Africa, who came in good faith, and you did something in very bad faith. Okay. I mean, that's really, you set back relations with a country that had good relations with America forever. And you just basically set it back permanently, maybe. Very disrespectful. That's an understatement. But that wasn't the end of it. Trump cited legislation claiming that the black government, as they like to refer to it or portray it as, that they passed a law where they're confiscating white farmers' land without compensation. Okay. Sounds good. Alongside the white genocide talking point, it all seems to make sense in the convoluted mind of the ignoramus and the idiot savant. But actually, that it's funny, they're saying that this is authoritarian black legislation against white people. It turns out it's the opposite. And again, they twisted reality. Marco Rubio ran with this lie after Musk tweeted it. And of course, Trump just ate it up like it was a freshly baked apple pie, a la mode. Okay. The legislation passed by South Africa was a reform of a 1975 law on government expropriation of land. An apartheid era government law. What do you think that apartheid era legislation contained? Probably some antiquated, outdated, perhaps unequal rules. This was an update passed this year by the South African government that ensures due process for the expropriation, including compensation, full due process. So it corrects, it updates a bad piece of legislation from the apartheid era. Now, the United States has eminent domain laws. They can come in and take your land whenever they want for government use, and they may or may not pay compensation. Who knows? And it may not be fair. And that happens all the time. England, every European country has similar legislation. Okay, it's nothing new. But it is nothing to do with stealing the land of white farmers in South Africa. So again, Trump, his team, they fabricated a huge libel against the country of South Africa. And you have to ask why. It's very simple. They're punishing South Africa. They're punishing them for filing a case in the ICJ against Israel for genocide. So see the gaslighting, folks. creating a mirage, an illusion of a, quote, white genocide that doesn't exist. Go to my X feed. I got testimony from South Africans, white South Africans, many of them saying there's no genocide here. There's no white genocide, gaslighting you away from an actual genocide being carried out by U.S. ally Israel with U.S. bombs. So they're punishing South Africa for daring to challenge Israel. That's what this is about. And then also because the government of South Africa is basically prohibiting Elon Musk's Starlink from having a monopoly in that country. So Elon's getting his revenge and trying to humiliate Cyril Ramaphosa in this awful scene in the White House. I mean, it's really a humiliation for America on the world stage. It is really, I can't, as an American, I cannot describe what a low point this is. Okay, at least Joe Biden has the excuse of being, having dementia or being senile. And now I'm wondering, how is Trump compos mentis? Is there something going on there? Can anyone be this detached from reality? Seriously? Or maybe it's all a big TV show and he can't work out what's real and what's not. It's hard to know. Honestly, it's hard to know. Anyway, we broke it down and the details are there. The receipts are there, video clips, timestamps, everything. So if you want to debate this topic with anybody that's on the fence, just go grab this article at our website, 21stcenturywire.com, and you will be very well informed, I assure you on that. Now, we've had a great stroke of luck. We've managed to iron out our technical issues there. We're going to connect our guest who is coming to us live from somewhere in North America. Let me see if I can bring him up on stage. Alon Mizrahi.
Hey, Patrick. So happy to be with you again.
Yeah, it's great to be with you as well. Yeah, the X app, Alon, has been going haywire this week. I don't know if you've experienced it. Everybody, so we're missing DMs. It's a lot of us are congregating off platform now because we just don't know if this is a reliable platform or not. So, but
it's very, very emblematic of the Trump administration and Elon Musk in it. I mean, it works like the US is working now.
So just before we get started on this important conversation, Alon, I was just telling our listeners earlier, if Elon can't manage this app, how is he going to build Dubai and Mars by 2035? Just honestly. Fair question.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get to the topic at hand, Elon. And again, thank you for joining us. This has been a very difficult period for a lot of people. It's been difficult for the last 20 months for everyone, Alon, but it's especially difficult since Trump has become president, because there was a lot of hope coming in with this ceasefire that was announced in Gaza, and people suddenly saw, oh my gosh, the clouds are parting here. We're getting some sunlight. Perhaps they're going to let aid in, and we're going to somehow patch together this awful moment in history. And what's happened in the last 3 months, Alon, is it has just gotten steadily worse. And I didn't think that was possible, quite frankly. And it's just deteriorating on so many different levels. And I see your frustration on your channel, the Mizrahi Perspective, and we featured one of your videos this week. You're saying that we're past politics now, and I want you to talk about that. But first of all, I mean, a lot of people aren't familiar with you, Alon, and your story. Just a little bit of your life background, like your life in Israel and where you are, where you've come to now today in 2025, and then we'll talk about the issues at hand. But go ahead.
Okay. I grew up as a normal Israeli in northern Israel, in a small town. I come from a working class background, from an Arab Jewish family. My father was born in actually Palestine, and so was his father and grandfather. I grew up as an Israeli. As a child, I believed everything they told me, because as a child you have no ability for critical thinking. And I believe Zionism. I believe there is an Israeli identity simply because I didn't know anything else. It sounded like the only thing you can take and embrace in this world. But gradually, over many years, I started doubting the official story. It began, it's just an anecdote, but it began for me when I discovered my Mizrahi identity, my Jewish Arab identity, which is very not the same as an Ashkenazi Jewish identity. It's a different story, a different background. Jews who lived, just to say a line about this, Jews who lived in the Arab world, in the Muslim world, did not experience the same hatred and persecution that Ashkenazi Jews did experience in Europe. But in Zionism, through all kinds of manipulation, coercion, and brainwashing, the Zionism managed to create this fake one Jewish nation, which is not a real concept. Nevertheless, they managed to create this facade of one Jewish nation. And when I was open to seeing my own story and the story of my people, the Arab Jews, and how different it was from the story of Ashkenazi Jews, then the whole fabric of Zionism began to come undone for me, because I could see also the Palestinian story and all the rest of the holes in the Zionist story. And I'm a rebel by nature. I'm not a great believer in formal truth and establishment lines. So the more violent and the more openly fascistic and unwilling to even consider normalcy and peace Israel become, the more I realized I have less and less room in it. Until eventually, basically 8 years ago, I already felt like Israel was completely lost and had no hope. But after the genocide began, I just decided to quit it altogether and leave Israel.
And so that's your channel's called the Mizrahi Perspective.
Yeah.
So, and when I first saw that, I thought that was your perspective, but actually the Mizrahi Perspective is a different perspective of the experience in Jewish experience and the experience in Israel. That's what I understood.
Actually, it's both, because it is my name, but it's also the title given to Arab Jews in Zionism. So it's personal, but it's also in the name of my people, so to speak.
And also, tell us a little bit about the current situation. As I understand it, I don't have nearly the probably the insights about Israeli society that you have. So maybe you can enlighten us as to what's going on in the minds of people in Israel, because we see an opposition. We see lots of protests out on the street. We have done for a long time against Netanyahu, against corruption, to bring home the hostages, and so forth. We see all that, and we see the liberal left, the much vaunted left wing, liberal left in Israel, that seem to want to, I don't know, restrain Netanyahu for different reasons. I'm not sure, but we don't see a lot of parliamentarians in Israel speaking up on behalf of the Palestinians, like maybe we should stop killing so many people. And it was explained to me by one gentleman that he said that tell me if I'm correct or not, Alon, maybe you can expand on this better, but he said that a lot of people in Israel believe that the world is against them, and the world is fundamentally anti-Semitic, and they can't do anything about that, so they just have to do what they have to do to survive, and that's the general mentality. Tell me how close that is to reality, and then explain to what's going on in the minds, how things have got to this point, Alon.
Okay, this is unquestionably true. This is what not only Israelis believe, this is what Jews believe. And this is what especially Ashkenazi Jews believe. As I've said, Arab Jews were much less into this paranoia that the world hates us, wants to come after us and destroy us. It wasn't like this for us. But yes, Israelis are sure and Jews are sure that the whole world hates them. And this sadly has become, or is becoming in front of our eyes, a self-fulfilling prophecy, as all self-prophecies tend to become. But just to give you an example about the sort of opposition you have in Israel, I mean, just a few days ago, there's a guy called Yair Golan, and he's an ex-general, an ex-IDF general, who famously said almost, I think, 15 years ago, or almost 20 years ago, he said in a big official state ceremony that there were processes happening in Israel at the time, reminiscent of similar processes happening in Germany in the 1920s and 30s. And he got jumped so bad for this, and he became, a target for right-wing hate, one of the biggest in Israel. And a few days ago, that same Yair Golan said, a normal country does not kill babies as a hobby and does not starve people and all of this. But when he said that, and he is like the most extreme Jewish left-winger of any position and renown in Israel. But when he said that, he said, "I'm not talking about the IDF. The IDF is my heart and my soul and my home. I am not criticizing the IDF. I'm only criticizing the political system," which makes this criticism meaningless. Because centering IDF as being above criticism, as being always moral, makes this criticism a joke. Because who is committing all those crimes? Who is doing this? It's IDF soldiers, it's IDF officers, it's IDF generals. It's not Netanyahu is not out there in Gaza killing women and children. Soldiers are doing this, and people are. When he tells his military, "We want to starve people," no one got up and left the room and went to the media and said, "This guy is nuts. We have to disobey this order," which is what's expected from a normal human being to do. This is your duty. This is not an option. When someone raises something this inhumane and cruel and barbaric, it is always your duty, no matter what, if you're an American soldier, if you're a Russian soldier, if you're an Ethiopian, it doesn't matter. When your high command or your political superiors suggest something like this, it is your duty to your fellow human beings and to humanity to disobey and refuse this order. But no one in the IDF has refused anything. So this is Yair Golan, and after 2 days after saying this, he again apologized so profusely for potentially being misunderstood as criticizing the IDF. So this is the state of Israel, and again, he is considered in Israeli mainstream. He's considered like he's the what's the American equivalent? Is the gang? Okay, he is Rashid Atleb. This is who he is in Israeli politics, and even he is not capable of making actual moral judgment and moral criticism about what's going on. And this is the big problem of the liberal, so-called liberal Jewish left. And we see the same phenomena with American liberals. They are only concerned with, this is why I believe change anywhere can only come from moderate right-wingers and Republicans, not MAGA people, not brainwashed people who cannot see reality, but people who have their instincts because they have some capacity for truth and compassion and saying stuff they really mean, whereas liberals have this plague of always propping up their image as moral and nice and clean, nice people, but what they are never able to follow through with anything. And we have seen a whole year of genocide during the Biden administration being whitewashed live with one press conference and after another, with all those types giving all those ludicrous answers to all the question about Hind Rajab and this case and World Aid Kitchen and a million incidents. And Biden's White House, and it's not only Biden, I mean, the entire field of American liberal media has completely failed. The New York Times has been an actual arm of the Israeli Hasbara, of the genocide. They have published piece after piece and created this psychological momentum for genocide with lies about mass rapes and all the lies Israel threw into the atmosphere. So we have an abject failure on the part of liberal media and liberal political camps, and it is true, and even more poignantly true in Israel. They are unable to break with the mainstream in a serious way. And you cannot change any system. You cannot be someone who changes anything politically when you are not willing to break with the system. When the first article in your, belief system is always justify the establishment and stand with the establishment, how are you going to be able to change anything? If you want to change stuff, you need to tell people you must not believe the system. You must not believe the official press. We offer a different story, which is based in morality, based in justice, as we see it. You don't have to see it as we do, but we will give you our version of reality. And we haven't seen this kind of position almost anywhere. In the US, definitely. In Israel, there's no question about it. I mean, the entire, and also the wider Jewish community, the wider Jewish collective, I mean, those are people, I mean, Reform American Jews, almost went to war with the Netanyahu government a decade ago over the Israeli right-wing Orthodox government refusal to let women lead the prayer services at the Wailing Wall, at the Western Wall. They made such a scene of it, and there was talk of breaking with Israel, and we cannot support, and it was public. And they came to Israel, and people need to look this up. I mean, this tells you how much hypocrisy. I mean, you go to war and you're willing to break with Israel and the Israeli government and say Israel has become too fundamentalist, too extreme. We cannot identify, because it's not letting women lead. And by the way, in Judaism, women never led prayer services. This is it. This is the deal. You want to create your own school, you cannot force it on someone else. You cannot decide you're now a Reform Islam and a woman will be the mufti of a mosque. It's not going to work. I mean, create your own religion. I mean, take it or leave it. This is my position. This is what this religion is about. But this is beside the point. If for this symbolic, I'm sorry to say it, nonsense, because this is liberal causes are always about optics, how things look. I mean, it doesn't matter what the military is doing, but we need to have transgender and women in combat roles. But we're not going to ask, where are they sent? Okay, what are they doing? Is this moral? Is this justified? These conversations liberals never want to have. But they do want to talk about if we do or don't have transgender soldiers, as if this is like the most important. And this is the brain rot that liberalism has brought to the West. I mean, to me, with conservatives, if they are not completely deranged, you can have a conversation. Even if you don't agree with their opinions, many times, I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene is like the most honest member of Congress at the moment. Mm-hmm. And there are a million things I won't agree with her on, but at least I feel that her stance respects other people, because she says she has clear boundaries. She says, this is what I stand for, this is what I don't stand for, and you can believe her. And I can believe, and I do believe, that she stands for morality more than Chuck Schumer, more than a million other liberals and New York Times writers, people who have the highbrows of the American landscape. But because I want to say something about Trump. His presidency began in a very promising way as regards the genocide, because he insisted we needed to have a ceasefire. Before I'm sworn, the ceasefire began the day before he was sworn in. And this was such a positive sign. This told me this man is at least aware that there's a massacre going on, and this is not good. This is not good for anyone. This is not good for the world. This is not good for humanity. This is not good for America. This is not good for anyone. Palestinians are the victims, but this is not good for anyone. And it was a prolonged, serious ceasefire, and Palestinians finally had a minute to breathe and sleep at night without fearing them and their children are going to be blown apart or burned alive any minute. But you could see this dynamic, this very heartbreaking and dark and ominous dynamic, where every time Trump makes any kind of step, saying or showing that he is an independent president, looking for the interests of America first, again, however he sees them, still America first. Every time he does that, you can feel the chokehold of Israel lobby and Israel interest group in Washington tighten around him, around his neck, and he has to fold and he has to agree to things he initially didn't want to agree to. And immediately after he stopped this Houthi campaign in Yemen, this idiotic, I mean, you go to war to not have a discussion about genocide. I mean, what the hell is this even? I mean, was there ever a more repugnant war? I mean, you go and bomb Yemenis, some of the poorest people in the world. When they tell you we are going to stop this war if the carnage in Gaza is stopped, they made it very clear. And still you send, but the minute is decided to stop this campaign and went to this summit in the Gulf, and you had a minute of illusion that the clouds are parting and maybe some rays of light are coming into the picture. They began again sounding even crazier than before and saying Iran is not going to have no enrichment. What do you mean no enrichment? This was never on the table. They embraced a more hardline position than before, and now they have this monstrous quote-unquote aid system that they are starting in Gaza with American mercenaries and ex-soldiers and spies supposedly feeding the population of Gaza. And what the hell is this? This is so ominous. This is like a preparation for something so dark, and this is part of why I say, to answer your original question, why we are not in the realm of politics anymore. This is not about politics. This is an actual fight of good versus evil. This is dark evil forces trying to take over the entire world. This is what it is. Because it is clear to everyone, Israel hasn't been fighting a war since a week after October 7th. Once they pushed everyone out and shut the border closed, it wasn't a war anymore because Hamas has no military to fight Israeli. They made this unbelievable commando operation, which is what October 7 mostly was, and this part we are led to deny. But Hamas occupied a series of IDF bases and killed mostly soldiers on October 7. Hamas caught IDF off guard, and it was, from the military perspective, it was a brilliant and successful operation. And what happened with the massacre around it, what really happened, we don't know to this day. I mean, there was a Hannibal directive, as they call it in Israel. We know that IDF, we don't know what really happened. But we know that a part of what happened of this day, and this is undeniable, was a military strike against Israel. Be this as it may, once Israel stopped this onslaught and shut the border closed and killed or drove every Hamas member back into Gaza, this is where its just military effort ended. Because now you have on the other side of the border what you had for 60 years before that, which is a population of besieged, occupied refugees. Most of them are refugees from 1948 Palestine, who had been living in the most terrible conditions for decades. And they cannot defend themselves, and they have no shelters, and they have no logistic, way to deal with anything. They don't have like food storage, huge storage of food to feed the population. They don't even have water supply to give to their people. So how do you wage a quote-unquote war against this enclave of disconnected and besieged and hungry and fatigued and occupied people? This was immoral from the first day, after the original Hamas onslaught was stopped, which Israel was right in doing. I mean, no one can deny they had the right to stop the onslaught while it was ongoing. Maybe not in the crazy way they did it with the Hannibal directive. And we have several well-documented cases of the IDF killing Israelis and killing captives in Be'eri and in other places, killing 12 people in Be'eri in one incident, shooting tank shells into a house where captives were kept with Hamas members. This was told by a survivor of this attack. And there were other instances like that. And so this has been allowed to go on for so long. This is not about Israel. This is not even about crazy revenge anymore. And revenge is not a legitimate political cause anyway. It's not normal for any society to pursue revenge. This is not how you live life. This is prehistoric. You don't seek revenge. I know it's very much the American way, They love to take revenge. We killed this. We eliminated. This is not. This should not be normalized, and humanity should not normalize this. Revenge is not a normal policy to pursue. But this is not even that anymore. And this is not even about the territory. This is about creating a world where Israel, especially, but maybe the US and its other allies, are allowed to exterminate people at will and do whatever they want in the world while maintaining an image of being a moral and just society. And this is something we all have to fight. This is a fight humanity cannot lose. We cannot have this kind of reality normalized. And I'm sorry to say it, because I don't think Americans are especially evil. I think Americans are very confused politically, and they have been very weakened politically and depoliticized as a society. And it's a problem not only for America, it's a problem for the world. Because when your country supports something like what Israel is doing, I would expect a society to have a healthy, sizable opposition in the name of morality. And it doesn't have anything to do with where you stand on the, what kind of financial, economic system you want. What if you are for transgenders or against transgenders? This has nothing to do and should have nothing to do. Or if you're a Christian believer or if you're a secular agnostic, it doesn't matter. When children are being mass murdered, we need the society to speak up against it. If we don't have it, we have gone crazy. And sadly, you see no opposition in the American political landscape to what the US is doing with Israel. And I knew that Israel was crazy before October 7. But I had no idea. This caught me unprepared. I did not know that the US was going to allow Israel to do something like this and assist it. And I had no idea. I really didn't suspect this. That the entire landscape of American media, American news outlets, American magazines, all this huge industry of opinion and narratives will stand idly by as the US helps another country exterminate the people. I didn't see this one coming, I have to admit. And it's not only in the US, but at least in Europe, you see some resistance to it. You see some resistance, whereas in the US, there is almost no resistance. Even, the ridiculous rallies that they are having now, AOC and Bernie Sanders, they only talk about Trump. They never talk about the genocide. They never talk about the genocide. And when you don't talk about something, the elephant in the room, what you're saying is, I'm basically sanctifying the status quo. I don't want to change anything. I'm not willing to challenge the biggest evil of this moment. So how can you be in opposition to anything? How are you in opposition? This is a joke. This is a joke. And I have to finish this long monologue with this. The Democrats, I believe it, and I think it's provable, lost the election over their support for the genocide. They were seen as a party of weak people who can be easily led and dragged and manipulated by Netanyahu and Israel into doing anything against their own declared principles. Because Democrats never had like a set of principles saying, we are going to support Israel as it exterminates people and we will do Israel's bidding, whatever it says. it was never part of the democratic platform. They were supposedly about, we care about people, we care about community, we care about justice, we care about racism and racism. I mean, all the years of talking about racism, all the years, they started a whole wave of demonstrations around the killing of one man a couple of years back. And now a whole society is being destroyed, and you say nothing. So what do you even stand for? So I believe they lost the election over theirs, and they lost. They turned against their radical core, because there was a genuine radical core to the Democratic Party. People who are actually, I can say radical leftists, but real leftists, who don't say I'm against bad things except when Israel does them. Then I'm for them. People who are actually for equality. And the Democratic Party actually turned on them and put out their fire because it didn't want them in all its festivities, all its ceremonies, and those people are very important for especially about a supposedly left-leaning party, because you need popular support. You need this kind of fire. Even if eventually the policy is not going to be as left-wing as the grassroots demand, you still need to have these people to give the party a sense of vitality, a sense of we are connected with the moment, and we are looking into the future, and we are connected with society at this particular moment. And they decided they are willing to sacrifice. And this may be like 1% or 2% of Democrats, but they are much more important than the actual numbers, because they give the moral validity, the moral stance, the energy to the rest of the party, which becomes just a huge machine for jobs and lucrative offers and image management without this moral base. So they kicked them out basically, and they left out all the Palestinian and Muslim voters, which again maybe aren't many, but elections in the US are always very close. 100,000 people will decide who is going to be president at the end of the day in a few swing states. And they knowingly decided to sacrifice this for the sake of Israel's genocide. So they lost the election over it. And they made Donald Trump, and this is the biggest joke. And this is how fake American politics really is. Because they presented Trump as the Hitler of all Hitlers, okay? The biggest menace to America and normalcy and democracy, all the words liberals love so much. For years, for a decade, this has been their project. Not improving American lives, not doing anything, not stopping empire, not reconsidering anything, not focusing on healthcare, nothing. We are against Trump. We are against Trump, and we are for the science establishment in COVID. This has been and transgenders maybe, but Trump has been, and they have made this person president by refusing to condemn and stop a genocide, which is and not enough attention is given to this point. I mean, you depict someone as your arch enemy, the most dangerous human being in your society, which may well bring. I'm not sure America is coming back from what's going on at the moment. I'm not sure it's coming back. I mean, if they manage to actually replace thousands of public service workers, people in all kinds of positions, in many states, in many different arms of the government, and they are all now loyal to the MAGA revolution and to Trump. How do you overcome this? I mean, how do you come back from this? America is also already in a big mess in terms of figuring out its future. Even if you took aside everything else, I mean, the economic aspect and the rivalry with China and the East, and the empire which is starting to crumble and it cannot win war anymore, and everyone can see it. But domestically, the US is in a big mess now. So helping Trump to get into the White House with so much hanging in the balance against everything you ever spoke against, this is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. So the Democratic brand has become so hollow. They become so hollow. What do they stand for? How can they say with a straight face that they stand for anything? I mean, what I'm saying now would be, if I said this in a liberal room, I would be kicked out, because this is something you are not allowed. You're not allowed to question the integrity of the party. Like, you're not allowed to have an actual discussion about the real stuff. And I've seen this in conversations with liberals. There comes a certain point when your criticism becomes like real. When you tell them, how do you do this when you say you believe that? This is like a basic question. They shut down. They don't want to continue the conversation. They are not willing to consider actual criticism of what they're doing. And they have become hollow. And now what does the Republican Party stand for anymore? They are not making deficits. This is a joke. They are not anti-war. They are not cutting deficits. They are not improving America's standing in the world. They are not making the government smaller. This is also a nonsense. I mean, they talk the talk, but they are going to increase all budgets and increase deficits by trillions with this golden dome. I mean, so you have a Democratic Party that stands for nothing, and you have a Republican Party that stands for close to nothing, because and everything hangs now. This is my final point I said before, but no, this is really my final point. Everything now depends on whether Israel manages to pull the US into attacking Iran or not. This will decide the future of the US. This will, in my opinion, bring an end to Israel. And this will shape the 21st century. And everything depends on this. And as things for a while, originally I believe this is the kind of agreement the Israel lobby and the Jewish lobby made with MAGA and Trump a year ago. They are going to support Trump, and Trump is going to give them Iran on a silver platter. I thought that was a deal, and I think this explains part of the reason why Democrats looked like they were losing the election on purpose, because part of the big donors and the big, ball players in the Democratic Party wanted Trump to win to guarantee Israel's safety. Let's put it this way. But when Trump went into office and sounded more like saner than we expected, and wanted a ceasefire, and there was this Houthi campaign, but then he stopped it, and then he went to the Gulf, and he looked like he was willing to make a deal with Iran. I started thinking maybe MAGA fooled the Israel lobby. They told them, yeah, we're going to do whatever you want, help us to get elected. But now we're elected, we're not going to do whatever you say. We are going to look after our own interests. But now again, I'm seeing that this dynamic is shifting again, and again you see the pro-Israel, the Zionist voice getting stronger and stronger in the Trump administration. And the chances of a deal with Iran, which seemed high like 2 weeks ago, now again appear to be much lower. And if there's no deal with Iran, Israel is going to attack, and the U.S. will have to join it, because there's no way to stop this dynamic in American politics with this American Congress, with this media, with everything that we know about the U.S. The U.S. will be dragged into it. The only way to stop Israel from attacking Iran and dragging the whole world into chaos is by having the U.S. signing a deal with Iran. Because if the U.S., especially the Trump administration, signed this deal, Israel would be seen as the belligerent party. It will have no moral justification for attacking Iran, because this is Trump, the most friendly president for Israel ever. But if they don't sign this deal, Israel is going to attack Iran 100%, and the US will be dragged into it. And I have to tell you that the entire history of what we have seen until now is not going to be the same world we live in anymore. Once this war breaks, this is going to have such huge and wide-ranging implications for American society, for European society, for the Middle East. But about this, again, you see no serious opposition in the US and no real discussion. And this is where I'm going to stop. There's no discussion.
Yeah, no substantial or intelligent discussion, not a discussion that's ballasted on the truth. And that's what's missing on all of these big conversations. And I think this is just a really deterioration of the political, intellectual circles in Washington, generally in the media, in academia. And just to backtrack a little bit, Alon, on what you said, how one of the reasons we got to this place, how has the Israel lobby been able to get such traction? And so Democrats used to be the champions of civil liberties way back in the day. I mean, this is what was their forte, the ACLU, et cetera. They've completely shunned all of that. But this was then there was the Republican conservative critique of the left, was that they wanted safe spaces. They won't allow free speech on campus. It's all woke. It's woke this, woke that. And as you said, where the Democrats basically jettisoned all of their core values, the Republicans are now demanding safe spaces on U.S. campuses. They're shutting down and deporting people for criticizing a foreign country, Israel in this case. And the twisting of the language, of the dialogue, of the discourse has been something unbelievable. And the environment right now is that it's with the ADL coming in and basically ready to kind of marshal any kind of crazy situation like we saw in Washington. I'll bring this clip up here because I'll play this, Alon, and then I'll let you respond, because this is just so emblematic here. This is Netanyahu basically, reconfiguring reality effectively, redefining what free Palestine means.
Yeah.
We'll play this. This is something I think people should know.
Free Palestine is just today's version of Heil Hitler. Free Palestine is just today's version of Heil Hitler.
I mean, how do you respond to something like that, Alon? I mean, it's just, but this is normal now. This is normal conservative discourse.
This is the new normal. And as I wrote yesterday on my X account, this is Netanyahu declaring phase 2.0 of the cultural attack around the genocide. This is now Netanyahu saying, we are not going to stop at so quote unquote defending Israel and defending the extermination of a people. We are now going to use Western governments. This is Netanyahu speaking to the pro-Palestinian crowd and Western public in general. And he's telling them, we are going to use your governments to treat you as Nazis.
Mm.
We are going to come after you using your political system, your legal system, your law enforcement system to rain down on you and destroy you as the Nazis of this era. And he means it, and he means it. And from what I see, I can see some resistance to this in Europe. I see no resistance to this in the US, and this is so terrible. And again, we're not in the realm of politics anymore. This is primordial insanity. This is not politics. I mean, this is Israel and Netanyahu, and Netanyahu is not a normal person. He's not a sane person. I mean, this used to be common knowledge before the genocide, but now he's become this international star once again because he's mass murdering all those people, which is nuts. I mean, no one liked Netanyahu before the genocide. He wasn't a welcome guest in European capitals. No one wanted to meet him. They saw him as a dangerous and unreliable and deceitful and cynical, disgusting human being. But now, because he has killed all those people, now this legitimizes him. I mean, are you crazy? But again, there's more than early signs of resistance in Europe. You see massive demonstrations in the UK. In the UK, you see parliamentarians speak up openly about what Israel is doing and not giving their government a minute's rest on this. They ask one question after another, and Spain, and you have whole countries that openly speak against this and about this, big, important countries like Spain. So you see, I don't think Europe is falling for this. For Free Palestine is the new Heil Hitler. And I think Europe has began like gently touching the brakes on all of this like a couple of weeks ago. I think that once Israel declared this Gideon's chariots offensive, you could feel that European politicians and even the establishment media, which is the biggest tale of where things are going, right? This is all managed by intelligence services. And they tell them, show more compassion to Palestinians because this is where we're going. Or be more open to anti-vaxxers because we are going to change our stance on COVID. This is so obvious, this dynamic. But you could see the beginning of like touching the brakes, like breaking from Israel, letting Israel still go ahead, not stopping the Israeli car, but not being like completely aligned with it anymore. Whereas in the US, it's like it's speeding. It's speeding with Israel on this rampage. And I mean, there are so many completely nuts aspects to this, but I think that after whatever is coming next, a world war, an Iran war, an apocalypse, a zombie apocalypse, I don't discount anything at this stage, seriously. One thing which is going to puzzle people is, how did Western governments agree to denounce millions of their own citizens as crazy people and hateful people on behalf of this small country in the Middle East? I mean, think about this. a guy from Pennsylvania or from New Jersey or from Oklahoma, telling his people, his constituency, people he grew up with, people he goes to work with, people from his country, men and women, you are evil people who must not be trusted. And it is my job and responsibility as government, as political power, to follow, censor, intimidate you so that your crazy doesn't do damage in the world. How is this normal? How is this normal? And I think about how insulting this is to Americans, to the American people, because Jews have been part of American society for centuries. There was never any law against Jews. I mean, you were never allowed to discriminate. You were allowed to encouraged to discriminate against other groups, right? But never against Jews. I mean, Jewish identity was never an issue in America, which is a good thing. This is what we want. But after centuries of this, it's not coexistence, it's one existence, an American existence. Now, the prominent Jewish political voice is, you are an anti-Semitic society. You are and again, to come back to my original point, this is very Ashkenazi and European Jewish. I mean, Arab Jews would never dream of saying something like this. I could never, in my wildest dreams, see a Moroccan rabbi, a Moroccan public leader, Jewish public leader, public speaker, saying to the Moroccans or to the Iraqis or to the Egyptians, you are very bad people who hate Jews. He would say, maybe this step that you have taken is unfair. This, something that you do, look at this, you will agree this is not fair. This is not the right thing to do, which is normal and acceptable. It's okay to do this. But to describe a society as anti-Semitic, and they call on the right, on the everyone is how is everyone anti-Semitic in the US? This is so much crap. I mean, even the classic racism of hating black people is not in fashion in the US anymore, and hasn't been in fashion for a long time. This is not like the normal way to be American anymore, to talk badly about people of color. It's not. So where does this even come from? And it's as if we can see that this is meant to allow genocide to go on. I mean, are people this stupid? Do they think people are this stupid? Do you think people can see the correlation between the rise in the anti-Semitism scare and what Israel is doing? Can anyone miss that? I don't think so.
Yeah, and they're taking it to yet another level this week. They dragged in the South African president, Cyril Ramaphosa, in front of the White House to the awful, embarrassing scene, saying there's a white genocide going on in South Africa. No word, no outrage about Gaza, of course. And, these scenes, Alan, I mean, this isn't a staged dramatic photograph. This is the daily reality right now in Gaza. And this isn't a very rough photograph. This is pretty tame, actually, compared to some of the other scenes we've seen. And not only that, but at any moment, they could be in danger of being bombed, even while they're trying to get fed. I mean, it's just these types of things were just unacceptable in Western society not very long ago. And somehow there's almost like this ingrained conditioning that's gone on in the West to equate Palestinians, especially Palestinians, Muslims and Arabs, but even the people in the Gulf regard Palestinians as the Gulf states, there is a bit of a pecking order, if you will, in the Arab world when it comes to the Gulf, and it's unacceptable right across the board. Europe, they don't is such a powerful narrative that's somehow been allowed to kind of take over. There's something going in the psyche. This is a major human psychological event that I'm trying to, we're all trying to figure out what's going on, because it's profound. It has major implications for the human race. And I think you're touching on that in your what you've written recently, the content that you put out recently. You're getting in there, Alon, I think, to try to say we're trying to work out what's going on, because we need to understand this. We really do. Because this is profound for everybody. It's not just about any particular group. This is a humanity issue that's really taking place, a major shift. We've got a couple of minutes left, and I just want to kind of give you the floor, Alon, to finish off this segment, to talk about this really, some of these more profound universal phenomenon that's going on. But go ahead, Alon.
Yeah, I will say something about this, but first I want to say something about America, about the US. 20 years ago or so, I studied English language and literature at Haifa University. And I discovered Emerson, the American philosopher, Ralph Waldo Emerson. And I discovered Walt Whitman. It was the first time I read Walt Whitman, like, seriously. I mean, Crossing Brooklyn Ferry, the poem by Whitman, this has walked with me for years, because this touched me and allowed me to see something about something I longed for. This kind of almost metaphysical view of reality. Because this is what Crossing Brooklyn Ferry is. It's not about, I see you 100 years hence. I see you into the future. This is a poem about a community of humankind which transcends time and place. And also Emerson, with this, also would be a man, must be a nonconformist. Everything Emerson ever writes is about nonconformity and independence of mind. And for years, I believed that this school of thinking was essential to the American psyche and American soul, the American project. And I actually believed it. And I believed that America was a place where dissidence and nonconformity was a respected institution, was a respected cultural phenomena, where people and culture were willing to not only allow it, but encourage it. Because this is a very, very healthy for a society to encourage dissent, because as we have so often seen, majorities and consensus can be so tragically mistaken. And what I want to say with this is, what I have seen, I have begun to see it with COVID. But in COVID, you had resistance. Now you have no resistance. Now this whole, school or tradition of nonconformity, which was so essential. It was one of the saving graces of a society organized around very racist concepts and the eradication of Native Americans and all the ills of the past that we know of, not only the past. But the disappearance of this and the America becoming the actual land of conformity, of obedience, of one establishment government line that everybody follows and no one dissents from. and no one objects to. This is, I mean, I'm looking at things again, perhaps inspired also by Whitman, not only as the current, the current minute in time. I'm looking at this, at things from a historical perspective. How is this going to look in 10 or 15 or 20 years? When an entire society, I mean, governments can go evil. I mean, this is nothing new. This was one of the founding reasons for the American Revolution, for the old philosophy, the old American philosophy of government, which it never really lived up to, but at least it existed in theory. The idea that governments can go evil, and it is never a citizen's job to blindly follow government directives. We want to limit government. We want to constrain government. We don't want a government that defines everything that we are and everything that we do. This was like a basic logic of American philosophy, and we now see this has completely disappeared from America, and this is a very bad sign for this country. To me, this is a very bad sign for any country, but especially for America. This is a very bad sign, because this tells us of a rot, of a cultural rot. It means American society is not dynamic anymore. It is not vibrant. It has become frozen. It's a society that doesn't move for change. It's a society that's blocking change. And this wasn't what America was supposed to be. America was supposed to be, if I disregard all the terrible evils of the early centuries, maybe, of the American project, if there was something good and positive about this, it was this. We do not sanctify tradition. We are looking for new ways to do things and be moral and be present in the world, and not obey authority automatically ever. This is not what we're about. But now we can see that this is all America has become, because this is the two-party line is completely one on everything Israel. And Israel now will very much, sorry about this. Israel is going to determine where the US is going. And this kind of freedom is criminal to give any country. What happened to me? Sorry,
we lost your camera there for a moment. So yeah, see if you can bring that picture back. We'll bring you back. Yeah, Alon's just getting reconnected there. Alon Mizrahi, our guest, just finishing off a very important conversation about, well, not just about the Israel-Palestine situation, but how has it been allowed to come to the sort of terminal state that it currently is in right now. And we'll bring Alon back in a moment. He'll just be with us shortly. But and you really do need to understand American politics. And also, I think Alon's given us a very good insight into how America has changed, how politics has changed, how the national psyche has changed, but also the role that the Israeli lobby and Israeli lobby power has had in that process, in effectively browbeating people into submission when it comes to preventing any criticism of the state of Israel, but also just purely buying and purchasing and capturing not just the houses of government. We're talking about the Democrats and Republicans, but also buying, purchasing, and capturing now the mechanisms of government. And this is the scary part. This is what we warned about. This is why it's not a good idea to allow a foreign lobby or a foreign government to meddle deeply in your country's affairs, because once they're done buying off all of your elected officials, okay, every congressman, every senator, bar one or two, as well as other independents, okay, and the president, the White House is bought and paid for totally, okay. Once they've done that, that foreign government or foreign lobby then goes for the mechanisms of government, is going for the legal, the judiciary branch, is going directly for the U.S. Constitution. The U.S. Constitution is the DNA of the United States, and the Israeli lobby are currently in the process of hijacking the U.S. Constitution by trying to redefine the First Amendment, which is the basis of the entire Bill of Rights. The entire U.S. Constitution is basically predicated on the First Amendment. Freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and these are two things. Those first two, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, the Israeli lobby, the ADL, the sort of powerful individuals in the lobby, the billionaire class that bought President Trump, that purchased the White House effectively for their own personal needs for Israel. They're attacking the First Amendment, trying to redefine free speech using a very deceptive parlor trick under the aegis of combating anti-Semitism, calling legal, lawful, normal political protests on campus in opposition to a foreign government conducting a genocide, okay, and people protesting the U.S. government who are arming and aiding and abetting that foreign government, okay, and then recategorizing that as hate speech, as anti-Semitism. Okay, that is the full hijacking of the First Amendment by a foreign government. That's a level of foreign influence in the United States, who's meant to be the most powerful country in the world, but apparently not powerful enough to avoid being controlled by a small country in the Middle East the size of New Jersey. A little tiny colonial settler state has managed to basically hijack the entire Washington machinery, and that, and by extension, society. And that is something. That is quite a feat. But that's exactly what's happened. We lost Alon Mizrahi, and if he's in a rural location in somewhere, I think in North America, but I'm not sure exactly where he is, but I know he's in a kind of a semi-rural location. So he's had some technical difficulties. We ironed that out, got him in for what an incredible interview segment with Alon. But we won't be able to bring him back this week, but maybe we will. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. We'll bring him back. We've managed to get him back here. We'll wrap up this segment. Let me bring Alon back up here. Alon, I was telling people you're probably in a remote location as well. You've probably got internet issues plus technical issues, but we got you back.
Back. Thanks for your patience. I have a very makeshift setup, but it's okay. It's good enough.
So we're going to round off this segment, Alon, because we got to go into Overdrive segment in a few minutes. But just your final thoughts. Again, I want to thank you for joining us. This is such an important conversation, Alon, and you bring a lot to this conversation in many different facets. That's why it's great that people hear what you have to say. But yeah, I'll just give you the final word before we go to break. Go ahead, Alon.
Not to sound too prophetic or too serious, but this is a very serious time. This is a very serious time. The future of the U.S., the future of Western so-called civilization, we still need to see evidence that this is indeed a civilization. It hangs in the balance now. How the West is able to treat Israel, to reign in Israel, or to handle the aftermath of what Israel is doing, is really going to define its future. And we didn't mention it, but this genocide comes at a particularly important or meaningful time in history, because we are exactly at the moment where the Eastern powers are taking the lead, basically in human culture, in the great human civilization, and the West seems to be losing momentum. So to allow this to shape and color the Western civilization at this very moment, maybe the biggest mistake this civilization has made in a very long time. And frankly, I don't see much hope for the US changing course anymore. It's had such a long time to do it. So many different people, 2 administrations, 2 parties, so many media outlets. And I'm sorry, I can't see change coming from the US anymore, sadly, because I would really like to see the US being what it promised to be, which is a vibrant and open society with open debate and with a love and respect for equality and all those things which are so important and vital for the US. But I'm not seeing this happening anytime soon. I have some hope for Europe. Some hope. It's limited, but it's there, because we can see a position. We can see people standing up, people saying enough. We can't see children dismembered and dying every day forever, which seems like what Israel wants to do. So everything now depends on whether Israel succeeds in dragging the US to war with Iran, and it looks like it will. And these may be the last moments of this previous sane world that we had, because things are not going to be the same after this war. After this war breaks, and I think to me it looks like we're minutes away from it, and everything that everything that the discussion in the West is going to look so irrelevant after this war.
Yeah, thank you, Alon. I think it is a very, very crucial period right now, and it's almost like a lot of people think need some kind of a collective epiphany, a miracle in the change in thinking. I agree with you. I think the U.S. is on a downward trajectory that's almost like terminal. It's very, very hard to change, and but it wouldn't be the first time an empire is locked into a terminal decline. And I think, but the impact on this is going to be particularly brutal, I think, for a lot of people, and the collateral damage this is going to cause, wide-ranging effect, which you talked about for the world.
And it just one sentence. I mean, it was such an easy test. It's not a difficult test. When children are being amputated without anesthesia, this is not a difficult moral test for anyone. I don't give a fuck what you believed in, what your God is called, who your grandfather was, what revolution you stand for or opposed. It's meaningless to me. When the end result of what you stand for is such brutality and cruelty and sadism towards the life in its purest and defenseless form as children or women in labor or right after labor, when this is what you stand for, then you are an utter and abject failure. And there's no context for this. There are no reasons for this. There are no other ways to see it. Everything you stand for is a lie, and you're a vicious and evil human being. And I'm saying this to every American politician, every American media figure who still sells and peddles this two-sided nonsense or pro-Israel nonsense. What does it mean to be pro-Israel? How can you be on the side of the people who starve babies to death? It wasn't a difficult test, and still America failed miserably. All of America, all political parties, everyone This is a sad way to go. This is not a nuclear war with Soviet Russia, right? This is the simplest. This is something you had to solve on your first day of grade school. This is not an easy challenge. This is not a difficult challenge. How do you fail this? This is the question we're going to be. That's going to torment us for a long time, I suspect.
Yeah, it's a question that we were all scratching our heads, being educated about previous world wars and holocausts. Oh, how could it possibly happen? Look at this utopia we've constructed after the Second World War. We'll never have that problem again, will we? We're not going to be involved in any such thing. And so we're getting that education. That was always a question lingering in the back of our heads, even as teenagers when we were learning history. And it was always like, how could this have happened in Germany, etc. And I think we have the answers to a lot of those questions. Very sadly, we have them. We have some of the answers.
Yeah, I think that maybe 10 years ago, and while I was still writing only in Hebrew, I only started writing in English after the genocide because I realized there was no point. I have no use for Hebrew anymore politically. I wrote a status on my Facebook saying, like a conversation between a child and father. A child is saying, "Daddy, how did the Holocaust happen? How did it happen?" And the father answers like this: "This is how it happened." Because I could see this coming. I could see where this was going. And yet, this is how it happened. This is how the worst things happen. We can see it all clearly.
Alon Mizrahi, thank you for joining us on the Sunday Wire. A lot more, hopefully, we can discuss in future, but go to Alon's X account. If X is still online, Alon_Mizrahi, plus the Mizrahi Perspective. We've got a link on our show page, goes to his YouTube channel. You want to subscribe and do check his videos that he's releasing and the content that he's putting out, Alon. And we really appreciate, again, thank you for making the effort. We managed to get it together, and hopefully we'll do it again.
Yes, I hope so too. Thank you, Patrick. It's been a joy. Thank you.
Thank you, Alon. There he goes, ladies and gentlemen. That is Alon Mizrahi. Again, all the links are on the show page. We're going to go to break right now, and we'll connect with a few members of our team after the break. Basil Valentine, among others. We'll discuss this and much, much more in Overdrive. Look forward to seeing you. In the meantime, enjoy the music of Peyote for President, one of my new favorite tracks. It's been around since October 7th. It's called The Palestinian Children. We'll see you in a few minutes.
All of the pictures left unpainted, all of the games they left unplayed, all the laughter in the playground, all of the arts they never made. Ghost faces of a million Palestinian children. All of those voices left in silence, all with their names written in kind, lest their bodies pulled from rubble, lifeless empty dolls to find. Ghost faces of a million Palestinian children. What of the songs they've never written? What of the words they'll never sing? And the darkness of the nightmare, inescapable that rings. The ghost faces of a million Palestinian children. I hear the crying, helpless children, God's most precious and most dear. I hear them begging for the reason. How could you ever leave us here? I close the eyelids of a million Palestinian children. So what do we really stand for? Is this how our future's made? Palestinian children. To respect our obligation, every creed and every nation, 'cause every soul deserves protection. Save the Palestinian children. Save the Palestinian children.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Sunday Wire. This is episode 548 of the Sunday Wire. Thank you to our guest before, Alon Mizrahi. That was a bit tricky getting him connected. We eventually did. We started a little bit late, but it was well worth it, and I knew it would be because what Alon brings to the conversation is absolutely unique, and I can't thank him enough for sharing his thoughts, feelings, and insights with the current situation. Obviously, we can go a lot deeper in a lot of different areas with him. Hopefully, we'll get Alon back for another continuation of this important discussion. So much at stake for everybody right now in the world, and we thank him so much for joining us. Now, we're in Overdrive segment, and I want to bring on some of our teammates as well. Before we do that, though, I also want to point people up at 21stcenturywire.com. The Sunday screening this week is a pretty incredible film, and I'm very happy they've made this publicly available for everybody. This is why we're featuring it. It's called The Settlers. This was 2016 this was made. This is a really, if you saw the Louis Theroux film recently, which is excellent, in the style of Louis Theroux. This is quite a more developed, more detailed, multi-layered documentary. Quite an outstanding piece of film work, actually. It's one of the better documentaries you'll see on this topic or any topic historically. And just the documents, the interviews, everything, the effects, the way it's edited, it's quite a beautiful film. But it's an inside look, the hidden world of the Jewish settlers in the occupied West Bank. Okay, now you can see where things are really headed. When you watch this film, you'll know what the end game is, basically. But it gives you the whole historical background, how we got to this, all of the sort of chicanery and deception politically that was getting us there. The Settlers, that's up at 21stcenturywire.com. That's our Sunday screening this week. Every Sunday we feature a documentary film. Our team puts it up there, puts it up, and we share it with our audience, and a lot of you guys appreciate that. I know you do. You'll love this film for sure. Now, without further ado, I want to bring on stage a couple of our teammates and friends, colleagues. Mr. Basil Valentine joining us on the live link right now. I'm sure Basil found that last conversation with our guest extremely interesting. He may comment on that, and also Ruckus, Adam Clark, aka Ruckus, joining us from Alternate Current Radio. And also Bryan McClain, aka Hesher, also host of the Boiler Room at ACR. It's a pretty formidable brain trust we brought together here. You guys and your backgrounds are really something else, I'll tell you. And don't tell me you don't.
We're reporting from an undisclosed location.
Don't tell me you're not coordinating these things as well. So, very interesting. Very interesting. So Basil's the only one with a normal, myself and Basil, with a normal background. Are you guys going to wrap up a little note and stick it in the hole behind there?
I need the hat first. I need a little hat.
You need a little hat. Yeah, you need the little hat. And you're good to go. If you do that, you're halfway to becoming a U.S. senator. So just
maybe they would just remove. I'd be happy if they would just remove my my visibility filtering and shadow banning. I mean, is that what has to happen? I mean, do I have to go kneel before the wall and stick a note in there, and then do the visibility filters automatically disappear? That's my question to Elon.
They might. It could help. It could help. You could put out a whole declaration appeal conversion. And are you willing to convert? That's probably what it's going to take at this point. You got to go all the way. Basil, I don't think he's willing to do that to get his Twitter account back after taking on the information minister of propaganda from the state of Israel, which is how Basil lost his account. he took on the mighty and powerful Elon Levy, who's one of the most hated people in the world, but it got Basil's X account nuked. Unfortunately, that's why you're
Well,
not.
I have some breaking news in this department, Patrick. You're not going to believe this.
Go ahead. We'll let Basil weigh in, but go ahead quickly.
Yeah. Real quick, just while we're on the topic here, because I had difficulty finding your post today, so I had to sign into my other account, which is not verified, the Ruckus Room. And as you can see here, X itself advised me that I should become verified so that I can get boosted reply and reach. Like, so all you have to do is get the verified check mark and you get the boosted reach, apparently, but obviously we know that's a lie. So I thought that was incredibly ironic and strangely timely. I'm like, who do these people think?
Great job, guys. Do you trust that he can put Dubai on Mars in 5 years like he promises? He can't even run this damn app. Sorry for being cruel. Basil Valentine, are you going to get your Twitter account back?
Well, I said that the perpetrators of the Gaza Holocaust should face the same penalties as the Nazis did at the end of the Second World War, some of whom, of course, were hanged, and he took that to be a personal threat. So obviously guilty conscience there, but you can't threaten people on Twitter. So, but it seems you can say all sorts. I mean, I've made a collection of other things where people have been far more direct in terms of threats. And I'm going to get back in touch with them at some point. But I want to go back to what Alon Mizrahi was saying, that it's not a difficult moral conundrum. You know, are you in favor of the mass murder and mutilation of babies and children and starving the remainder to death? Yes, no, you know. And you are a total failure as a human being and a deeply evil person. It's worth remembering, of course, that Netanyahu likes to frame the Gaza Holocaust as one where Israel is the side of the light, believe it or not. But that's what you expect from a Satanist, from a Luciferian. They claim to be the light bringers, just as they slaughter people. At least 38 Palestinians have been killed in the last 24 hours in Gaza. I always feel we need to mention what's going on. Lots of people still under the rubble after attacks on Deir al-Balah and Jabalia camp today. And of course, just yesterday, 9 siblings were murdered in a single attack. The children of a surgeon. The Israelis waited until the father went in the house before firing a missile into it, killing everybody inside. I mean, the war crimes are just off the charts. So as Alon said, even what was happening before the ceasefire, I mean, that was as bad as it gets. But they've gone on an insane killing orgy, a real bloodlust since Netanyahu collapsed the ceasefire. And it is a kind of primordial insanity, as Elon said. But the stonewalling from politicians, he referenced the United States, I've been looking at the United Kingdom today, continues. You had the so-called leader of the Conservative Party, Kemi Badenoch, was on television this morning. She was asked about Palestinian casualties and the genocide, and in her reply, she didn't mention the word Palestinian once. She simply talked about October the 7th and the killing of Israelis. And all. It's a really bizarre answer to be asked about the genocide, and simply to go back to a single day 18 months ago as if nothing has happened since. But she made an equally telling comment, more so really, on Sky News when she said that Israel is fighting a proxy war on behalf of the UK, just as Ukraine is doing against Russia. No, I mean, we haven't heard anything like this from a British politician before. I mean, she is totally out of her depth. She's not intellectually equipped really to be an MP, let alone leader of a once major party. But nevertheless, is she letting something slip that she knows from the corridors of power? You know, she basically supported Netanyahu's statement that Keir Starmer, Macron and Mark Carney are all anti-Semites for daring to say, you know, perhaps you've done enough killing for the time being. The optics of starving hundreds of thousands of people to death aren't fantastic. How about easing up a bit? And Badenoch pushed back against that. Now, the British people are being done a great disservice by people like her. She doesn't represent anybody at all except her own opinions. And, organizations like the Tory party really need to be decapitated.
But just hold on, rewind a little bit. She said that Britain's fighting a proxy war.
Israel is fighting a proxy war on behalf of the UK in Gaza.
Which infers that Britain is using Israel to fight a war against Iran. Is that probably what she's talking about?
Possibly. I mean, she moved very quickly on to her next statement, which was that Ukraine is fighting a proxy war for the UK against Russia. She seems to be all in favor of proxy wars. I'm sure she'd like to escalate them. But yes, that's basically what she's saying. No, I mean, we know how deeply anti-Russian, how Russophobic the UK national security state is. But saying, as she did, that Israel is fighting a proxy war on behalf of the UK with the genocide, well, she's not in power. I don't know the extent to which she can be held culpable and charges brought against her. She was part of the last Conservative government, and the genocide was well underway before last July. So she's another one that need to go on the prosecute list. But my final point is this. She does, unfortunately, represent a strand in right-wing British thinking, which has been, of course, hijacked by the likes of Tommy Robinson. You have a nasty confluence, a coming together of traditional, as it were, Zionists like Michael Gove, who, one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen, said that the IDF should be nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, believe it or not. I mean, really insane, total inversion of reality. You've got sort of horrid little Zionists like him, full-throated in their support of the genocide because they're Israel lovers. And then the likes of Tommy Robinson stirring up the increasingly vocal nationalist right in Britain, reform type voters. And his pitch is, again, I mean, we don't know whether he's directly paid by Mossad or not. Is it relevant? But is echoing the Israeli talking point that they are engaged in an existential war on behalf of Western civilization against the Muslim hordes. And, that resonates with low IQ right-wingers in Britain who go, oh, I don't like Muslims either. There's too many of them in Britain. So if Israel's anti-Muslim, then I'm pro-Israel. Simple as that, completely unaware of the fact that the Palestinians are the indigenous people to the area. So if they support indigenous people like indigenous Brits against recent arrivals, they should support the Palestinians against the recent Israeli arrivals. But that kind of logic doesn't make its way through. I mean, there are other figures on the sort of so-called far right, like Nick Griffin, who are far more politically savvy and know what's going on. But there's this, as I say, there's this unholy alliance on the right, which actually only represents a relatively small percentage of public opinion. Polls in the UK show overwhelming support for the Palestinian cause. Well, and just most people are capable of recognizing genocide when they see it. But you've got this unholy alliance, as I say, of nationalists hoodwinked into believing that Israel's cause is somehow linked to their own. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's worth pointing out to them that the hordes of Muslim immigrants that they object to so much have been driven here largely by wars conducted for Israel, Afghanistan, of course, Iraq, and Syria. All that has been thrown into turmoil at Israel's behest. And so hence we see lots of people crossing the channel from those parts of the world to the UK, but that's far too subtle a point for most of that lot to grasp.
Indeed it is. And I'll go to our colleagues here, Hesher and Ruckus, but this is exactly why Israel is supporting this idea of a white genocide in South Africa. And they're trying to bring that immigration issue together with somehow an overall worldview, foreign policy. This is why they are very keen to back re-immigration conferences in Britain. You've probably seen these as well. This is the Israeli lobby, and they're flying these people over to America to do podcasts with Ben Shapiro and Dave Rubin. And I don't know, I'm just, putting two and two together. I see the money flowing there, and I see the rhetoric and how it's shaping the White House policy, and it's kind of a no-brainer to me, Hesher and Ruckus. I don't know if you guys have picked up connected any of these dangerous dots recently. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. It really feels to me like they're trying to do the same thing with this topic that they've done with so many other topics, which is make it be political, make it be about right versus left, make it be about, Democrats. And it's such a thin veneer. This whole idea, is insanely thin. Only those low IQ people that Basil just mentioned, who don't look very deeply into much of anything when it comes to world events, are going to buy into this. Alon said it really well there near the end of his segment. And, he was talking about, when he discovered Walt Whitman and all these other American authors. And, that's the whole thing with this country. We're allowed to dissent, and governments do go bad. And we have a constitutional duty to disallow that from happening. So how we go about that when things are this far gone, I don't really know yet. I'm not really sure. But I don't know. At this point, it's like I could sit here and say, free Palestine and oppose neocons. And according to Piers Morgan and Benjamin Netanyahu, I'm singing the chorus to Kanye's new song by saying that. And I don't know how to feel about the whole Kanye thing and where this all comes into it. Is this a natural reaction from him? Because if it is a natural reaction, it's totally understandable. But we can't lose sight of the fact that he's been threatened with MK Ultra style punishments for speaking out in the past, and that leaves a little bit of room for questioning. So, free Palestine, oppose warmonger neocons. There, I said it. I guess I might as well be in Kanye's troop of dudes, outside of Diddy's star on the Walk of Hollywood fame. Did you guys see that? That was bananas.
No, what happened?
So Kanye, about a week ago, I saw a report, somebody reporting from outside of a industrial building that Kanye owns or rents, and they showed a flyer that he put out. And it said, I'm looking for these type of people to come and, practice for something. They didn't really say what it was. So there's these people outside this compound, and they can literally hear a bunch of dudes inside the compound screaming HH, and listening to the song. And then just this week, a group of African-American dudes dressed in all black circled around Diddy's star on the Walk of Fame. And they all performed Kanye's song. They all sat there and did the whole HH thing right there in the middle of Hollywood. It was one of the most bizarre displays I've ever seen. I have no means of analyzing this without more information. All I know is something weird has been going on ever since Kanye showed up with the net and the mask and the Yahoo chocolate drink. The world got flipped upside down. The Overton window got not just nudged, got shoved in a very different direction. And now none of these social media channels are stopping us from having these conversations anymore, which they were doing before that event. And now we're at the point where Kanye's dudes are literally screaming HH in the streets in Hollywood, and all this conversation's going on, and I can't help but think, I don't know if that's helping or if that's hurting, because it's polarizing people. It's dragging some people over to that side, but I don't know if they have the nuance and the context with which to describe what they're doing and what they're saying and why they're supporting it. Maybe some of them do. I'd love to hear some of their longer form responses to it, but something very strange is going on, and I think it has to do with the politicization of the topic, just like they did with COVID. Remember, with COVID, it was like, nobody on either side is going to talk about it. Nobody on either side is allowed to show any hesitancy, any argumentation against the safety, the effectiveness, and the necessity of it all. And then once midterm elections came up in 2022, in the lead up to midterm elections, all of a sudden you had mainstream podcasters and mainstream Republicans talking about lab leaks in China and don't trust the various products that are being injected into people. And where were you guys? We've said this over and over again. Where were all you people when we were getting shadow banned, when we were getting called grandma killer for like a year and a half, almost 2 years? We were getting called these things. And now all of a sudden, no big deal. It's okay. It's political. It's a right versus left thing. People on the left are smart. People on the right are stupid. And I'm afraid that's where they're trying to nudge this topic. However, I think a lot of people are getting smart. A lot of people are getting, forgive the term, very red-pilled on this topic over the last, what are we going on, 3 years now of this despicable, horrible genocide, leading to potentially a war with Iran. And, I think that's the other thing that was said by Alon. That's what I'm waiting on. Like everything else is noise at this point. Gaza's pretty much gone. Now they're destroying the rubble. They're doing missions to like level the rubble now, to hide all the evidence, hide all the bodies. I mean, they're just vaporizing entire blocks that are nothing but they've already been vaporized, but now they're being re-vaporized down to dust. So this is pretty much dead and done. Forgive the pun. It's horrible. But when I look there, I see nothing left. So the next thing is Iran. Is this going to blow up into Iran? Is this going to blow up into a world war or something like that, or a massive attack, preemptive attack on Iran for no reason, for propaganda reasons? That's pretty much what I'm waiting for right now.
Yes, and maybe even a little property deal there on the Gaza Strip after it's all said and done for our man and Jared and the rest of them. Ruckus, what do you make of all this?
The scenario and what you're describing there, Hesher, is technically nothing new, and we've all experienced it and dealt with it together along the way. Take 9/11 for a perfect example. You just said things turning to dust, and I was like, oh yeah, perfect correlation here. And the lab leak thing, I mean, it's like every single narrative on the planet how do you know it's a narrative? How do you know it's a psyop? Because they instantly have this, what appears to be an organic growth from within these movements to then control it and shape the narrative. So it's okay for a select group of the population. Heck, the whole world can run around and say 9/11 was an inside job. But as long as they think that, rather than knowing the actual truth of what happened that day, it's totally okay for them to say that. Whereas like any other country, to suggest that your own country was involved in doing such a thing, there's no way that would fly, right? But it's totally cool here. Epstein didn't kill himself, popular conspiracy theory. So let's all argue about whether or not he killed himself or that he was murdered, when maybe the guy's living up on an island somewhere. Let's go back and forth about the lab leak. Was it the bat soup? Or, hey, maybe there's no such thing as a virus. These are all, there's all these different talking points. So I don't trust any of the narratives. It seems very controlled with this being allowed to talk about the J word. I don't believe it for a second. You look at the people who are doing these things, it's that hard swing to the far extreme. It's always to the extreme. There's no nuance. Everything's getting conflated. And right now we're at a seriously dangerous point when legislation is being discussed to make it illegal, dangerous for Hesher to say what he just said, to just practice his First Amendment rights. he just called for violence, according to some of these people. And we may have just lost the YouTube stream for talking about this stuff. That's where we're headed. And that's what I'm very concerned about. By the way, the only person that I'd heard making that connection about South Africa and the genocide was you, Patrick, but maybe because I've been not seeing a lot of good stuff on my X feed lately. But I do believe what you were talking about in there, I think there's the hidden red herring is Elon Musk. I think like the mainstream media on the left side, the liberal media will be happy to examine this and say, oh, wait a minute, did they set this guy up in order to do a favor for Elon Musk? Again, keeping all eyes off of the potential real issue, because a lot of these countries seem to be getting, you know, bad things keep happening to them. Like they got some sort of bad karma following them around after making comments about the ICC case, like Spain. Oh, sorry, there went all your communications, you know, stuff like that. It's very, very suspicious lately, folks.
Yeah, there was a power cut in Cannes as well, you know, for the Cannes Film Festival. They had a power cut. And of course, Julian Assange has been there last week, and he wore a T-shirt with the names of thousands of murdered Palestinian children printed very small on it. I don't know if you saw that. Although there were a lot of press photographers taking snaps of him, and a new film about his incarceration was screened. There was very little coverage in the corporate media of the shirt he unveiled on the red carpet and why he was wearing it.
Yeah, that was great
yes,
to see.
I mean, also there was a screening of the documentary made by the Palestinian filmmaker who was murdered immediately after hearing that her film had been selected. Do you remember about that, Patrick?
Yes, I do. Yep.
And that was originally due to take place in one of the hotels, the Hotel Majestic Barrière, but that had to be moved at the last minute to one of the pavilions inside the festival itself. I don't know why. I think it's highly likely that the hotel came under pressure from the death cult not to show the film.
Yes, and it was, as I was saying a minute ago, that it's great to see Julian made it there. I think that was amazing that he.
I was disappointed that I didn't make it there, Patrick. I would like to have been there. You should have been there. We should have been at that screening with Julian. We should have been at the screening of the Palestinian film, but unfortunately, it wasn't to be this year.
Yeah, that would have been something. But anyway, it's great to see Assange there. It's a brilliant film, according to people I know that have seen the screening. So I think that's great that that's on the historic record, and we'll have correct the story on Julian Assange and let the establishment languish. But Ruckus, and you mentioned this white genocide thing. I mean, I think we might have a couple of clips we'll throw up on the screen, but this was really another level for me to see this. Trump saying, let's turn down the lights, and like literally, like he ambushed. He literally shanghaied the head of state. I mean, it's kind of like that's probably the worst thing you can do when you invite someone for a state visit is to set them up. But to me, the humiliation was on Trump, because the South Africans are like, this guy's freaking crazy. Like, these people are just making shit up. And then he had all these internet articles, and Trump says, death. He's turning these pages. I've got a video of this. You guys, I mean, I know you guys have watched this, but for those of our listeners who haven't, we'll give them a little bit of a taster here. There's so much. This thing is just full of highlights. If I was to put a reel together, it was so incredible. But watch this.
I could show you a couple of things, and it has to be responded to.
Yeah, sure.
Let me see the articles, please, if you would, and turn the lights down. Turn the lights down, and just put this on. It's right behind you, Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one.
A few days. Death of people. Death. Horrible death.
So the death, horrible death. So it's absolutely incredible. One of those articles Trump had was from the American Thinker, and it was an article about Congolese women that were killed in some event in Congo, and he literally showed it on camera, so people screenshot it, did the quick search on it, found out it had nothing to do with South Africa. I mean, that alone is embarrassing. But Trump said that there are mass graves, and he was talking about this clip that's gone viral, and he cut it. So they're cherry picking clips from videos without context. And he basically said this is evidence of a white genocide, that there's white crosses along the road, and that this was somehow, a genocide. But here's that. So what we did was just basically go online and look for the original. It was a documentary from 2020, and they weren't graves. They were a memorial for two people that were killed. And the crosses were put up by blacks and whites from the area to have a kind of message of unity against crime and farmers being killed, black and white. So Trump and Elon Musk really twisted this and turned it into a racial kind of provocation. That's just the opposite of what, and the crosses aren't there. I went to Google Maps. The latest photo is from 2023. They removed the crosses. So not only is it not a mass grave, the crosses aren't there. And so Trump got this, 5-year-old documentary. Here's a clip from it.
So what happened to him, although he's white, we don't look at the color, we look at what we are doing. We are doing the same thing. We are all farmers. Next time it's going to be me.
We're here this morning at Newcastle, where last week there was a couple murdered just outside towards Normandy Way. So all the farmers and everyone interested in the cause has gathered together now, and we are going to be driving from Newcastle to Normandy to the farm where the couple was murdered, and fighting for the cause, for fighting for the farmers, fighting for equality, fighting against corruption.
A local farmer and friend of the Raffertys, Rob Houghton, put up hundreds of crosses along the road leading to their farm almost overnight. 3,000 people climbed into 1,000 or so vehicles, tractors, buckies, sprayers, trucks, combis and cars. It took hours for the somber procession to pass the boulevard of crosses.
So it's not a mass grave, guys. And it's not like white genocide. It's the opposite. And people aren't there. The South Africans aren't polarized over that event, but Trump and Elon Musk are polarized, and they managed to get the entire Fox News crowd, Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, and then the whole MAGA right thinking that was a white genocide. I mean, this is beyond propaganda. This is like the lowest level of information I've ever seen, guys. And and hats off to our team, Freddie, of course, giving him all the credit for putting this. This is like basically all of the questions you could possibly want to know as to the true state of affairs, and it's all here. And admissions from Afrikaners saying that there's no white genocide. This guy here from the AfriForum, the Afrikaans organization, on categorically, no, there's no white genocide here. All I had to do was Google this. It wasn't. I mean, what's up with Trump's research team, guys? What sort of talent they got there?
I don't get it. I don't get it, man. I mean, through my Telegram account and my X account, and being connected to journalists around the world and just people around the world that have been recommended, have seen mass graves, have seen actual real-time mass graves in Ukraine and in Gaza. So, for a mass grave situation to be made up and a genocide to be made up, are things perfect in South Africa? No, there's corruption, there's violence. It's not great in many places. It's dangerous in many places. But guess what? That's happening here in America too. Right now, it's getting worse. They tell us it's getting better because they closed the border and they're deporting people. But actually it continues to degrade. So, you know, pretty stark when you see actual real mass graves and that kind of horror happening in near real time on your little black mirror device. And then these guys want to come out and tell us, "Oh, look over here. Look over here at the white people being killed."
No, I'll really bring it home for you, Hesher, on that front. In America, so I looked at the crime statistics from South Africa. Last year, I think there were 30 farmers were killed in South Africa. Okay, it's a huge country. I don't know what the population is, probably around 100 million or it's 50, way more than 50 million. Anyway, 30 million people were killed, farmers, and some were black farm workers and tenant farmers, as well as owners, you could say, operator owners. So a total of 30. Okay, so and it's possible, according to last year's statistics, that more black farmers or people working on farms were killed than white farmers out of the total farmers. In America, how many farmers committed suicide last year because their land is being repoed by banks with predatory practices, lending, corporate thievery, takeovers by Bill Gates, and corporations muscling small family farms out of business, making it impossible for them to make money. I don't have the statistics to hand, but I tell you, it might be well higher than 30. Does Donald Trump give a flying you-know-what about American farmers? Or is Elon Musk running our foreign policy with lies and gaslighting? I tell you what, this is just so lowbrow, you know, and it's so America last, you know. Now we got to save the Afrikaners from a white genocide that's not happening. So F America is what Musk is saying, and what Trump is doing, and what Rubio is doing. They don't want to deal with American problems because they're too difficult to solve, because you need to have some brain power to do that. I don't see it, guys. I'm not seeing it. I'm really not. The big beautiful bill, I'm not impressed.
Well, I mean, yeah, I was supposed to mention
Basil, jump in, and then I want to hear from Ruckus. Go ahead, Basil.
Well, I mean, the really startling thing is that Trump's so concerned about genocide. Why isn't he talking about the very obvious genocide going on in Gaza? I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous to give the South African premier a dressing down about something that isn't happening. I mean, supposedly the idea is Trump is terribly upset about the loss of human life. Well, it's just total garbage. He's just trying to score some political points. There have been some horrific murders of white farmers in South Africa. I've heard one or two absolutely awful, blood-curdling stories about people in outlying farms who've been the victims of gang attacks, you know. But the head of the Farmers Union in South Africa, white guy, he appeared midweek to say this is not happening. There's no genocide going on. Of course, you have got Julius Malema, the Communist Party leader, and that famous song, Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer.
Mm.
There's footage of that. I think that's amongst the things that Trump played to the premier, to Ramaphosa. But that apparently requires historical context. Apparently, it's not meant to be taken literally. But you know, that was what the talking heads on CNN were saying in the week. You know, that kill the Boer, kill the farmer doesn't mean it. As Hesher said, they've got big problems in South Africa, but genocide is not the right word to describe it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And you're right. My South African friends are trying to explain to me Julius Malema is the extreme fringe of South African politics, and there's court cases against him. So the government has basically got him by the ear for provocations and things like that. So he's not a political leader. He's not even in the ANC party. He was kicked out, I think, in 2012 if I'm not mistaken. So fringe, but of course there are, that fringe exists in a post-apartheid country where the 7% of the population still owns 75% of the land and assets. The white population, 7%, they own 75%. You're going to have these problems. I'm sorry. It's post-colonial, post-apartheid. Deal with it, guys. It's not going to be, like you said, Basil, it's not perfect. Russia, Freudian slip. I saw the flag on the comment. Ruckus, go ahead.
The whole thing is so quite obviously a show, a performance of sort, right down to the props. How do you know that it's propaganda when they're using props? I mean, quite literally, how badly do you have to convince somebody about something? And how do you do that? The visual aids, they do this in court. They do this for kids. This was not for the benefit of the gentleman in the chair, the South African leader. So like this was a show. This was like an episode on MAGA TV, and that's exactly you guys are all nailing it. He cherry picked all this stuff, knowing that nobody's going to bother to do their research on this, and if they do, they're going to send out the likes of like a Jen Psaki or somebody. And so when your friend shares it, hey, by the way, just so you know, Trump did, like, oh, you're crazy because consider the source, these wacko people. Like, so totally not going anywhere with that. So again, who are they trying to convince, and why? It reminds me, and where did they get this playbook from? You were wondering who wrote all of this, the script and everything for them. I've seen this exact same behavior coming from the Israeli leadership. I remember fondly many years ago, back when things weren't so tense as they are now, but they were still tense. And Bibi Netanyahu, I think it was in front of the UN or somebody, and he threw down like a hunk of metal, like he was like, there's your evidence. Here's like a drone that we shot down from the sky. It was like an Iranian. It was just very over dramatic, and it was like, I was like, did he just bring in like a prop and throw it on the ground to like same thing? Like, yep. we got the little virus thing inside the vial. See, it's right here. I brought it in my jacket, and here it's around everybody. You want to see it? You want to touch it? You want to smell it? The anthrax thing, of course. But yeah, so I'm like, this is like a red flag all over the place that this is totally false. And for the people who want to seriously question it, I'm sure they'll just have to hear the fact that, oh, you're mistaken. The flags are gone. Well, that's because it's the Mandela effect, bro.
Yeah, a quick fire round here. I want to go to Hesher in a moment. Maybe you might comment on this, Hesher, because this is very interesting. Trump convinced farmers. This is from Joseph Houghton. Thank you, Joseph, from YouTube. Trump convinced farmers to take loans for that big, beautiful new equipment in 2017, just to shut down the economy for 2 years. COVID, another bonehead move. Yeah, there's a lot of complaints like this. There is a lot of stuff that's been swept under the rug from, before. And of course, working class people, farmers especially, have been bearing the brunt of a lot of this pain and suffering. Hesher, your thoughts?
Did I hear you right? You said 30 farmers in a year?
Yeah, that's South Africa. Yeah, it's a big genocide.
All right. Well, speaking for Chicago, in Chi-Town, that is actually a light weekend of murder. That's right. A light, fairly not too bad weekend of murder.
Where's
generally
Chicago? Hesher, where's Chicago? Where is Chicago? What country is that in?
This one, United States of America.
We don't care about that. It's American. Oh. We don't care. Forget that. Look over here. Look across the world. There's something going on. There's a penguin genocide in Antarctica.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a holiday weekend. Happy Memorial Day, everybody, by the way. But a holiday weekend is, generally speaking, the worst weekend in places like Chicago, places like New Orleans, places like Houston, places like Los Angeles that have really, really high murder rates. I can guarantee you that as of today, I mean, I'll eat my sandal if I'm wrong, we've probably already hit 30 gun deaths in Chicago by Sunday, and this weekend doesn't end until tomorrow's over, because tomorrow's a holiday.
Yeah, that's a light weekend. Light weekend. That's a safe weekend, Hesher.
And it's never reported on. The mass media cartel, they never, ever, ever want to tell us what the death toll was in Chi-Town this weekend?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Because people started asking questions and demanding that something be done about it. But it seems like it's a gun-free zone as well. By the way, Chicago just officially, legally a gun-free zone.
Strictest gun control in the country, next to certain parts of New York, California, and Massachusetts.
Go figure. Go figure. That's how that works, folks. So here's the Micro Psycho. It's a great handle on X here. Trump is completely silent on Gaza and posting filthy videos about redevelopment. And so spill your bile here. You're you among the more intelligent people. Yeah, we feel you. We feel you. WWF special edition. Yeah, it was kind of WWF in the showmanship way, but the South Africans weren't faking it. They came up there, I think, in good faith. And Cyril Ramaphosa, guys, is not stupid. Okay, he knew there was going to be some flack, so he brought his agricultural minister, who's Afrikaans, white, and he brought 2 PGA ranked golfers from South Africa because he knew Trump would like.
Yeah, 2 white guys. Ernie Els was one of them, which was great.
Did you catch that, Basil?
Yes, Ernie Els was one of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Former Masters champion.
So Trump, so Ramaphosa is not. This is not a stupid guy. He's very polished, Ramaphosa, and it was very. I mean, to me, I was just embarrassed, and I thought, you just don't deserve to be president, treating people like that. That is just like very. You don't do that anywhere, not even at a presidential level. You don't do that at a corporate level. You don't do that as a school teacher, as a. It's just. The caliber of people he's got around him must be such street trade to try to pull, because Trump doesn't know what he's looking at and say, Donald, look at all these deaths, and be like, oh, that's terrible. Yes, he doesn't know. But so the people around him should have like a little bit of an idea of what might be true, unless they're just intentionally being deceptive. I don't want to think that I'm just thinking they're stupid and they're carried away with the narrative. Elon, on the other hand, knows. Elon knows, and he's spinning it. And Elon is one of the most dangerous people in politics, because he was not elected.
He's out of politics now. He's decided he's had enough. He says he's not going to spend any more money on politics. Good. I mean, he's had his fingers really badly burnt. The whole Tesla thing has started to crater.
Wow, that's breaking. Elon's out of politics. Basil just broke the biggest story of the weekend. Breaking.
Yeah.
Now he can focus on making money in the new technocratic right. Of course he's going to stop spending money. He's bought his way into making money, which is what smart investors do. You buy your way into making money. And it looks like him and all of those in his class, in that odd stratosphere of elite tech bros, can all focus on exactly that now. And one place I can say you will see that kind of gotcha sort of thing that we just saw in the White House from Trump is on reality television or on mass media productions. That's where you see that kind of stuff. And, people talk a lot about Trump's background and how he is a reality TV person. Well, that was a reality TV tactic right there for a big, for a big viewership, for a big, own someone and get the clip, and boom, you're going to get funded for season 2.
That's it. You got it. Totally fake, totally superficial. It was just for a sound bite, a meme. And all his acolytes and MAGA people said, "Oh my God, Trump owned this guy. He really just showed him." That was one of the great. I think it was Viva Fry, is this conservative influencer guy, whatever. He said this is one of the greatest moments in presidential. He's Canadian, by the way. But anyway, this is one of the greatest moments in presidential history. I'm like, you're a lawyer. Did you check any of the stuff he presented? No. So you're obviously not a very good lawyer. Oh, that's why you're making YouTube videos and not owning a law firm. I get it. Okay, great. I mean, it's just basic stuff. It started a little war between us, by the way, on X, because I challenged him on his comment. He got very, very upset and did this unhinged liberal tweet, liberal style rant tweet against me, but didn't address any of the actual substantive points I was asking about, which is what's Trump presenting there? Is it true or false? Turns out to be false, of course. I'm no genius, but Ruckus, this is showing you again. We have these high-level commenters in our threads, and I like this one particularly. Surprised he didn't show a satellite image of white farmer concentration camps. Hey, it can be done. It can be done. You just have to like get your team on it. Get Dan Scavino on it. Find something on Google Maps that looks like a concentration camp.
That's how you know they're not serious. So that this was one of two options. It was just to be super low hanging fruit for the MAGA base, who we've discussed around. Not all MAGA, but like the ones who are just like, oh yeah, they'll take everything that they say and believe it, run with it, whatever, repeat it, make it go viral. The blue check marks that just repost each other all the time with the breaking, Trump just owned this guy. I'm like, well, I mean, the same kind of scenario is if you invite somebody into a professional setting with the intention to do X, Y, and Z, and then you're like, yeah, we're going to do that, but first, can we lower the lights? I got this picture of you in a compromising position with a prostitute. It's like, what the heck is this? It's pretty wild. But that's one option. The other option, of course, is that they could always flip the script, because remember, Trump made a lot of mistakes, as it were, during the 2020 thing, and then they were like, oh well, it wasn't Trump's fault. It was the people close to him. They deceived him. Maybe they've the far lefty Democrats, those crazy people, have infiltrated the White House and the people close to the president. And they're doing this on purpose to make him look bad. I have no idea, but they're not very serious about selling this to anyone other than the low level, MAGA crowd. To be completely honest, it's quite obvious.
Okay, Hesher, I'm going to put you on the spot because this one's for you. This one's for you, mate. We're going to defer to the experts on this. David Moore says black intra-racial gun violence is not the same as targeted violence against white landowners. Break this argument down for us, please.
Well, I mean, I think I would agree with you. It's kind of an apples and oranges situation. But the statistics remain. And the thing that really gets me about this is like these statistics held up even when Obama was president. And you would think that would be something that that Obama would address in a way other than just doing what the left always does and push push removal of the Second Amendment, go to the gun grab, when his own hometown is just hemorrhaging lives, so one might wonder, well, okay, is that sort of like omission and negligence? Is that sort of maybe a softer appearing form of targeted violence? I don't know. Because that's basically about poverty and education and just the absolutely horrible feedback loop of being stuck in some of these places where that's life. So the fact that that's not being addressed is one could make an argument that it is a form of targeted violence against a group of people.
Yeah, exactly. That's we're asking how best to reframe the argument so it makes a little bit better sense. Just image in your head, guys. Ramaphosa invites Trump to Johannesburg for a meeting and says, turn down the lights. We have something to what's going to be on that slideshow? I'm thinking Epstein pictures, parties with Trump, Epstein. And imagine if that was done on like global TV. I mean, they'd probably nuke South Africa after that. I mean, Trump would, but it's ridiculous. The whole concept of Shanghaiing a world leader like that.
Well, I mean, as I say, I keep coming back to the same point, but South Africa's taken Israel to the International Court of Justice for perpetrating an actual genocide. And they've started having their diplomats sanctioned by the United States for doing so. There's been huge pushback against that. So of all the people to accuse genocide of, You're actually accusing the country taking the lead in trying to prevent one that we all know is going on.
Yeah, and that's the obvious point. It's kind of like it is a gaslighting exercise. It's kind of obvious. We really want to punish South Africa, demean a real genocide by propping up a fake one. I mean, it's perfect.
Yes.
And they did pressure Congress to get the U.S. The Israeli lobby pressured U.S. Congress specifically to pressure the ICJ to drop the case. That was widely reported in late in 2024. So it's not, this isn't conspiracy theory. This is hardcore politics we're witnessing. And
it could be an attempt to water down the search terms for genocide, because they do that stuff all the time too. Because it was the timing of it was right during or on the heels of massive reporting coming from the United Nations about the starvation of the Gazans and genocide this, genocide that. Yeah. We saw the thing happen with Theo Von and the back and forth there, who, by the way, Viva Fry, who you mentioned earlier, was one of the people who attacked that guy on X for his comments, which was just ridiculous. They sent the usual suspects, people like him. Tim Pool, I think, also ganged up against Theo. Yeah, I'm like, what is going on here? So again, I think maybe it was just a poor-hearted last-minute attempt to we gotta get everybody who's, when they're searching genocide, we want to see Trump acting like a clown with the South African guy rather than the real stuff. But who knows? Maybe.
Yeah, the Theo Von. I replied to Theo Von, but mine was constructive. I was like, Theo, better late than never. But you do realize you're platforming Jared Kushner. He's directly involved in all that. Just saying, and try to. It's not too late to make amends for basically being AWOL on the issue for a year and a half. Do something for humanity, Theo. I was just throwing it out there. Whether that interests these millionaire podcasters or not, maybe. I mean, I think if you've made it to a certain level, you've got escape velocity, unless they think they're going to get Kanye'd. Do they think they're going to get Kanye'd? These guys? Anyone?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know.
They can speak out then. They can do it. I think most of them could survive if they're smart, just by pitching their sale a certain way. I mean, how much money do you need? They've all paid off their houses. They've got second homes. They got trophy wives.
Huge audiences that will follow them anywhere they go.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's a good time for some of these people. Rogan is starting to go. He's been going off the reservation in the last couple of months. So, he's super high in terms of net worth. So it's like, are these guys looking at Rogan and thinking, I need to be at that, I need to be worth 100 million before I have escape velocity, when they're down there at sort of 5 million? Some of these podcasters are 10 million. I mean, is that the way they're thinking? I don't understand. They own their platforms, a lot of them. They're totally self-sufficient. They could just say F you to everybody if they wanted and just do their thing. I don't know. I don't get it. Or
Unless
I guess
they're worried about being Epsteined or Bill Coopered. So it might not always be about money.
Yeah, Epstein, Bill Coopered, or Chris Cuomo'd. Just kidding. But a couple comments were going in here. I like this. This is class. South African president is the statesman. Trump is just an apprentice. Yeah, you could say that. And there we go. This is good. The footage. Oh, this is in the meeting with Ramaphosa that we imagined. The footage of Elon looking at. Oh no, this was in the White House. This person saying, looking at the South African president. Elon was giving him the eye. He tried to intimidate him. But did you guys see Elon giving him the? It was like looking down and kind of almost like F you kind of thing. I'm gonna get my Starlink in there. Kind of thing. I mean, this guy's such a clown. I mean, if you had that much money and clout as Musk, you wouldn't have to be clownish. You could just be just hold it together. You know what I mean? Keep the clowning to a minimum. Maybe hire someone as your clown check. To keep, I don't know. You have your Harvey Pasternak checking your clownish behavior, like someone like your assistant, and he's all over the place. This guy. I mean, I don't trust that he's going to pull off the Mars thing anymore. Because he can't even get X to work. Have you guys had problems on X this week?
Yeah, it's been a mess.
It's more than a mess. It still hasn't fixed itself. It's permanently
I can't wait
broken.
till we trust him with the brain chips. That's going to be fun.
Oh yeah. You can't even get a app to work, and you want to put a damn chip in our brain and get us like a little rat in a maze. No, thank you. This is a bad. I'm gonna play this up. Actually, these are good talking points. We're gonna run with these for the next week or so. How can we trust Elon to stick a damn chip in your brain if he can't even run X? Maybe his 5-year-old son's doing the coding. I would not be surprised, knowing Elon. He's saying this is easy. I'll get my 4-year-old to do it. Kind of thing. Oh, that'd be really cool. Right, Elon? I don't know. I wouldn't put it past him. You think I'm joking, you guys, don't you? I'm dead serious.
What could go wrong? I mean, just hand it to the child, hand it to, Big Balls or whoever, just, I mean, where are we? I mean, and I got to say, this whole thing that's happened in the White House this week, I was really kind of, holding a little bit of light and a little bit of hope that like diplomatic talks were happening in certain places, that whereas under Biden, there just pretty much was no diplomatic speaking at all. But like, if this is, you had a foreign leader travel across the ocean to come here and do this, when you could have just rang him up and said, hey, my people are telling me I don't know what's going on over there, but the news articles I'm seeing and the people that are telling me there's a genocide happening, is this true? What information can you send me, or have an ambassador do that and bring it back? I mean, somewhere in the information loop, something had to have just gone completely wrong. And he did nothing. Like, this was not, who brought him this as definitive information? If this is a oopsie by him, if this is not just a planned operation, clearly it's someone's planned operation. Some reality TV politician producer came up with this one, and yeah, maybe they pulled the wool over his eyes or something. But where was the phone call from him or someone that he trusts over there to verify that information before doing this ridiculous stunt?
No need to do that. You don't need to verify anything. This is our world, and we create reality. Breaking news: Jolani HTS invading Lebanon. Someone might check, see what's actually going on there. And we got a couple more, and we're going to wrap this up, you guys, because this is going to go nuclear if we carry on at this pace. It's already radioactive at the moment. There's a lot of banter in the comment sections, and a lot of people attacking Viva Fry. I'm not going to put any of those comments up, because that just wouldn't be good cricket. But yeah, so I'll bring up a couple of choice items so you guys can enjoy some of these. And bottom line is this, actually. Here we go. Musk gets government grants, subsidies, government contracts worth billions, who hires some capable engineers who produce flashy yet underperforming products. You could say that's the case in some ways. Again, none of this is inspiring confidence of building Miami on Mars by 2035. Wouldn't that be cool? Remember at the inauguration rally? That's just so cringe. We're going to look back at that, and it's going to be very interesting. I mean, he really sort of pushed the boat out there, guys, on that again. But
was he the one that sent the car into space, or was that the other fool, Bezos?
That was Musk. Yeah, he put a Tesla in orbit, along with, not as if we don't have enough high velocity junk in Earth orbit, the damage that could do as well.
Allegedly.
I mean, if I was the Russians, I would send a missile or something and deal with that, but get it out of the way. But yeah, so yeah. Oh, but this is at WD40. What a name, Raspberry. Oh, jeez. I got canceled and don't want back in. Don't trust him. He's talking about. They're talking about X. They're talking about who? What was that Walk of Fame story? Was that you, Ruckus, that was talking, or was that Hesher?
Oh, that was me.
I mean, what did? And so they did a thing around Diddy's star on the walk. I'm surprised they didn't do a kind of ritual, get out baby oil and just dump a whole load of baby oil all over that star, get it all shined up nice, because with people walking over that, it gets a little scruffy. Needs to be kept in. The Diddy trial. Have you guys been following the Diddy trial?
A little bit.
Is it interesting? Is anything
it's
going
insane.
on?
It's totally insane. It feels like Epstein part 2. I mean, why was I don't want to say I had to, no one forced me to, but I couldn't turn away from it. Why did I get presented the entire Johnny Depp trial, but I can't see the Diddy trial? I'm getting, we're getting the old drawings and stories and court document releases and that's it. But no, it's crazy. It's almost hard to tell who's doing parody and who's actually reading from the court documents. It's that insane, tales of sex slaves and superstars and politicians, doing crazy stuff, and people are making a meal out of it right now. It's bananas. It's totally bananas. And he's only being charged with like 3 things, sex trafficking across state lines, and one other thing. And it's kind of like, oh, this feels a lot like an Epstein sort of trial. Like everything's behind closed doors. We're getting a bunch of salacious media about it. There's no discussion about things other than sex. There's no discussions about money. And I think that's one of the biggest holes in the Epstein story and in the Diddy story is, no one's looking at the money exchanges. No one's looking at, and all the crimes are the personal crimes like against Cassie Ventura and stuff are outside of the statute of limitations. So there's no like direct crimes basically, but it's just insane, Pat. And I'm not surprised it's happening, but at the same time, I kind of can't believe it. It feels like we've approached some sort of nexus point here where it's like all the old conspiracy theories are being sort of laundered by the mainstream media, sort of washed and brought into social media for everybody to buzz and be obsessed about. And the final narratives are all set. We just saw Kash Patel and Bongino set the final narrative for Epstein. Oh, changed my mind. Everybody saw the documents, definitely killed himself. And they'll make these crazy faces while they're just eating glass while they're trying to say it because they know it's not true. You can see it. I've watched like psychologists analyze the face that there's YouTube videos that are going viral right now of these 2 guys and the facial reactions that they make while they're saying it. And it seems like they're lying. It straight up seems like they're lying. And then you've got Netflix like doing the sort of like documentaries on all these things as they come out. They've got Hulu doing documentaries on these things as they come out. And they just focus on the tabloid issues of it. And there's no exploration or questioning or analysis about how these relationships all got started. What does Suge Knight mean when he says that Diddy has been a federal informant since the 90s? Is that true? Could somebody look into this? Like, is that not part of the court case? Is it all going to be about, 2,000 bottles of lube, a goat, and, your favorite politicians taking ecstasy and doing cocaine? Like, it's all sex and drugs salation. And I think there's just so much more evidence. Same with Epstein. They only raided 2 of his like 4 or 5 houses. They did no looking into any of the JP Morgan, the Wexner, Les Wexner connections, like all that stuff. I mean, and dudes are wearing it on their shirt. You saw Ian Carroll on Candace this week with a Epstein map T-shirt. Like he had all the names and connections and all this stuff. And
Ryan Dawson, that's Ryan Dawson's shirt. Ryan
nice.
Dawson, you can do a duvet quilt for your bed with them. Not that you'd want to fall asleep with that. I mean, that'd be a good conversation piece with your whatever your partner. I mean, weird, but Ryan's got some great merchandise up at his website, Neocon. I think it's Neocon Report ANC or antineocon.com. I think some good. There's an umbrella that I quite like on there. Actually, I'm thinking of buying a few for my gifts for Christmas. Well done, Ryan. We might promote your merch. But this is interesting. Howard Lutnick lived next door to Epstein. I've not heard that before. That's Trump's handler, basically.
Yeah.
It's Howard Lutnick, Commerce Secretary. That is literally Trump's handler. He goes everywhere with Trump. So make sure that Donald says and does the right things. Yeah. Final thoughts, you guys. Basil?
But did Lutnick attend the Diddy party? I'm just curious.
Don't know. Or did he bankroll the Diddy party? We don't know. We don't know. But he was living next door to Epstein. Just a coincidence, though. And Trump was. They all knew Jeff, didn't they? But we didn't, unfortunately, know Jeff. But everyone at that level did, and Diddy. So there you are, Basil. Your final thoughts.
Well, I wonder the extent to which Epstein and his ilk continue to exert influence from beyond the grave, because, to go back to what Alon Mizrahi was saying, it's not a difficult moral conundrum what's going on in the world at the moment, particularly stark when you have homicidal freaks like Randy Fine going on television and suggesting, after the two murders of the consulate staff in Washington, the Israeli consulate staff, that Gaza be nuked. And he said, we had to drop a couple of bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki to end that war, and that's what we need to do again, effectively. I mean, it's really, one hopes that when you've got people as deranged as that, it's very disturbing that he's a member of Congress, but when you've got people as deranged as that speaking on national television, that ordinary Americans, the Mark Twain readers, the Ralph Waldo Emerson readers, will think this is insane. This is sort of madness now. Quite apart from the fact, of course, if you drop nukes on Gaza, it would wipe out most of Tel Aviv as well. It's not very far away. So, this is really bizarre. But we've got to keep up the pressure on Western governments. We've got to keep the pressure up on the UK government. We've got to be, everybody needs to turn themselves into a one man, one woman awkward squad. That we will not tolerate the extermination of, an entire population just because our politicians have been browbeaten, blackmailed, and bribed into submission. So it does bring into focus the crisis of legitimacy in the political class in Britain. As I say, Kemi Badenoch saying on national television today that Israel is fighting a proxy war. Israel is fighting a proxy war, basically a proxy extermination. It's not a war. Let's not give it that term. Really, really, really bizarro stuff going on at the moment. And if Israel get their attack on Iran, it's only going to get worse.
She reminds me of a student body president, Kemi Badenoch, like a student president or something. She's just doesn't have.
Well, the knives are out for her because the Tories are absolutely tanking. They're down to 4th in the polls. They could have as few as 20 or 30 seats after the next election. Certainly the myth of the invincibility of the Conservative Party, the most successful political organization in the Western world over the last 200 years, that's been well and truly exploded. It no longer holds the public imagination, deference, doesn't have in anything like the way it did even 20 years ago, 10 or 20 years ago.
Maybe they'll bring back Rory Stewart as leader. Now his podcast is doing so well. Basil,
they want Boris Johnson back.
Oh gosh, yeah, bring him back. Bring him back, please. Do us a favor. I can't wait. Basil, the Pulse.today. Tell us where they can find you this week.
I'm on tomorrow at 9:40 as a guest of Mike Ryan. That may well be my only appearance next week because I've got a busy week. But I'll be on at 9:40 a.m. UK time with Mike Ryan tomorrow morning.
Thank you. And big thank you to you, Basil, for joining us this week. Basil Valentine, ladies and gentlemen, political commentator, political editor at thepulse.today. You can find his archive there as well. Dabby J, this is for Hesher and Ruckus to give you a nice, smooth exit. The moon is easier than marching off to Mars. I love that comment for some reason. I sort of love that comment. Thank you, Dabby J. That is like top. We're gonna roll out with that one. You guys, give us your final exit and what you're doing this week. Go ahead, Hesher.
You can find us in the boiler room on Thursday nights. You can find us on the web at alternatecurrentradio.com. Find me on X at Hesher Media, Instagram as well. And thanks for having me, Patrick. This has been a intense show. I really enjoyed the interview in the first segment, even though it was sort of a lot to absorb. And I think that he really spoke to what a lot of people have been feeling, especially those of us that have been eyes open since the beginning here and are really feeling the fatigue of where we're at. So much appreciation for that and for having me today. Hope everybody has a great rest of the weekend. Stay safe and sane out there. It's Memorial Day weekend, so tensions are high, roads are busy, all that stuff. So be careful out there, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And thank you for being here. Love seeing everybody's comments in the chats and look forward to doing it again.
Yeah, no, likewise. Thank you very much, Hesher. Ruckus, where can we find you this week? Thanks for coming this week as well.
There's a website called alternatecurrentradio.com. Maybe you've heard of it, but yeah, that's where you'll find my stuff. Also, of course, we've been bashing on X, but while it's working, occasionally once or twice during the week, you can always find me over on my X, where I do keep everybody up to date. And of course, I've been doing, since I haven't been doing my regular show, I'm doing the Roundabout Ruckus temporarily, where, anytime I make an appearance on another program. I was just recently on Weaponized News again, so you'll find a new post for that up at alternatecurrentradio.com, as well as another appearance I had not that long ago on the Third Rail with Nature Boy. So that's what's going on with me. Of course, you'll find me on the Boiler Room Thursday nights with Hesher and the gang, and then whenever I'm invited and able to join you here on Sunday Wire. And don't forget, folks, that Patrick is doing his Midweek Wire. It's an excellent program during the week. And in case you miss it and you're going around crazy, can't find it, and you can't even find it on 21 Wire, go to alternatecurrentradio.com. You'll find a copy of it there, just like we do with Sunday Wire and everything else. Make it nice and easy for you guys, okay? Thanks for having me, and may God bless each and every one of you, and God save this republic.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it. It's been pretty awesome conversation. So thank you for another great overdrive. And again, thank you everybody on the streams. Appreciate it. I will say sayonara to our amazing team, and we will go out and say also thank you to the great Alon Mizrahi. And what a great unique voice, and what a great person to be speaking up on behalf of humanity. He's got a lot to offer. Do follow the Mizrahi Perspective. That's his YouTube channel. You can see his videos there. Follow him on X. His tweets are excellent too. He writes lengthy and very poignant tweets commenting on what's going on, especially with regards to Israel and Palestine, U.S. politics as well. So that's all we got time for, folks. That's all we've got for today, and we appreciate everybody who has joined us for this week's edition of the Sunday Wire. And again, I'm your host, Patrick Henningsen. And also, listen, if you want to support what we're doing here, obviously we've got this show, the Sunday Wire, which is every week. You can always find us on the various streams on Facebook, X, YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, etc., as well as the audio streams, 21stcenturywire.com, etc. So if you like the work that we're doing, again, you want to be able to support us, please. We need your help now more than ever. Just go to the donate button at the top of our website, donate here, upper corner there on the left-hand side, and click on that. All the different options are there: PayPal, credit card, membership, crypto, all the different options, different coins too. If you have different coins, whatever, we can accommodate any sort of support. And also membership obviously is the most ideal. Subscribe and become a member at 21wire.tv. You're supporting our content. We're putting out daily now, reports, research, plus 2 live programs a week, adding a 3rd program very soon, hopefully this week. Had a little bit of a delay on that, but it's there. It just needs to be sent out to the door production on to the big screen as we speak. We're working on that. So that once that gets rolling, it'll start moving. And we got a membership site as well, 21wire.tv for members. And we're building a community there slowly but surely. Obviously, we need your help to keep this ship going, to keep all of this activity going. And we really appreciate any bit of support we can get from you guys. So thank you very much for everything that you do for us. And if you can help us in any way, any level, it's much, much appreciated. So, but again, I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. Take care, you guys. We'll go out with some, I think, relevant tracks to what's going on in the world. And we will see you very soon. See you on the midweek, hopefully on Wednesday here on our streams at 21stcenturywire.com. Thank you, everybody. All the best.
For in the final analysis, we all inhabit this small planet, and we are all mortal.
Lately I've been watching the world gone mad. Brothers and sisters full to take a stand, to hate their fellow man and upper man. Divide and conquer is the acronym plan. Distract the people, control the story. Don't believe your lying eyes, you know me. Pushing us to turn to good. Corruption and lies revolution.
When you're tired of being just a commodity, you are the revolution. And when gaslit into another war, stand strong because you are the revolution.
You are the revolution. You are the revolution. You are the revolution. You are the revolution
that you've been waiting for.
You are the revolution. You are the revolution. You are the revolution.
They conspire against you, accuse you of terrorism, to steal your sovereignty. Hold fast, watch it collapse. Know that we still have the power. You are the revolution. They want to centralize, monopolize, control your thoughts. Breathe, go deep, go outside, put seeds in the ground. You are not alone. You are not alone. You are the revolution that you've been waiting for. You are the revolution that you've been waiting for. Alone. You are the revolution that you've been waiting for.
You are the revolution.
You are not alone. That you've been waiting for.
Oh, hi. Is this a crime to the revolution?
Why, yes, my lady. And you're right on time.